Welcome back, guys. Pittsburgh Knights, a team that really just keep their head down and keep grinding. We've seen that up to this point, 2-7 as of right now, so they've kind of had a tough go of things to start off. For our second set of the day, though, I'm really excited for. We're going to get to see how they match up against one of the probably top 3 teams in this league. What are you looking forward to in this matchup on the Knights side of things?
I think for the Knights, it was all about setting expectations at an appropriate level. They're a team that, outside of Cuss Cutie, are kind of used to losing, have a bit of a losing record in their previous PPL stints. So at this point, I don't know if you're expecting to take down Na'Vi. Their sights are still set on top 6 in the league.
Right.
They're trying to make MSI. They're not trying to tackle NIP. They're not trying to tackle Na'Vi and SSG at this point. I think that's just unrealistic. I think you try to learn from. And in that interview, we got to hear a lot from Payne about the things that these top 3 teams do well. Having the confidence to play together, to put pressure, and to just make stuff happen out of thin air and not wait for something to fall into their lap. That's what the Knights need to just improve on. Things like that, the little things, confidence in themselves. They're good at the game. That's already kind of a box that's been ticked. But I think it is, that team play. That's really what's been separating the good from the bad this season.
No, and talking with Pan when we sat down with him the other day, he was very honest about it. Specifically regarding this matchup, he realized that it's going to be a tough day here today. I think they have some things lined out that they want to focus on. They're hoping that they can take some of course you want to win the game, but they're hoping at first just to take some maps off of Na'Vi. And honestly, they're a team that's shown very similarly to, say, like a Kanga. They've shown that they can draft really well and turn that into advantages sometimes in some of these games. We just saw G-Bunny. He's going to be a guy to focus on with his aggressive frontline play. And then, of course, Ricotta, he's sort of a catalyst in this team, I would say. Would you sort of agree with that?
He's got to have a big day. I think you got to get him on his power picks. I love his Cassie. I've been saying that for a while now. I think that might be his comfort, his go-to, especially with Leon sort of on the downswing and with nerfs coming her way. I don't think she'll be looked at quite as much. Not to say she won't be viable anymore, but I think she won't be as plug-and-play as times past. We didn't see a ton of Amani in the last set. That might change here, though. Obviously, I think both these teams, Na'Vi and Knights, having both the ability and probably the want to play this character, as she has been such an influential piece of the puzzle. And like Pan said in his interview, with Frostbomb being a non-ultimate level impacting ability, if you hit that root cripple onto a couple of people, it can be devastating. It can win the team fight right then and there. So she's really done a lot to force people to buy resilience early and things like that. Wasn't much of a factor, I have to say, in that first set of the day. So I'm looking at her to maybe have a little bit more impact.
Yeah, no, and she's in such an interesting spot in that it was the Bright Marsh game last set where, Bulldozer is an important item that the enemy team starts to build, of course, when you have an Amani on the opposite side. But there's those every few dragons. Every once in a while, you'll get like one dragon that has huge impact, find a bunch of kills, and turns the game around on its head. But we saw Ares on Amani on Bright Marsh, and there were like 3 dragons in that game that just blew through the rest of the Kanga lineup and won the game. I'm excited to see if she comes out maybe a little bit more in this set. We heard a little bit from Pan in that pregame interview we had with him, but we got one more pregame interview. Let's hear their thoughts.
All right, we're down in the booth getting ready for the next set. It's Pittsburgh versus Na'Vi, but we got a chance first to hear from Pittsburgh and their coach. Buddy, how you guys feeling today?
Good, very good. We had a good week off of practice, a lot of VOD review, going over what we need to work on and things like that, and we are very prepared for this match today.
Well, what's the takeaway? Obviously, everyone's trying to figure out their pace, trying to figure out their identity, and figure out how they succeed in a league with a lot of competitive teams. What's been the takeaway after all the VOD review and where you guys need to go?
Basically, we just need to work more as a unit, more as a team. Instead of trying to make solo plays, trying to be off on our own, we need to work together, being cohesive, and having that synergy is really good in a hero-based shooter game where you need your team to back you up when you do things. It's very obvious that you can sometimes do solo plays, but it's much better to work as a team, and that's what we need to. That's the thing that we took away from the most, is that we need to work more as a team, be more synergized, and ask questions with each other, and just know what we're doing as a unit, as a team going into this match.
Great answer. I think that's it. We don't need to hear any more. Appreciate you, man. Good luck today, and we'll send it back to the desk for a little while, then we'll get some words from Na'Vi.
It seems to be the theme across all of the Knights guys is that we have the pieces, we have the drafts, we have the individual skill, but putting it all together as one big team is really where they're all focused. Payan said the same thing. Obviously, Vapor there, the coach. I mean, they're always feeling good. It's just finding that one cohesive team, I think, that's sort of been missing from them.
And a lot of times it is, I want to say, it doesn't fall into your lap. Like, you got to make it happen, and that's why it was almost shocking the way like NIP came out, and I'll never forget really the play that like put it in my head was when Diggy Dog just like rocket boots up to the enemy's high ground and dropped a dome shield, and I was just like, wow, they're just getting in your face at any by any means necessary. It doesn't matter. And I'd rather see teams do that and fail than not really do it at all or do it half-assed. I want to see that type of just attempt, right? Because if you at least gave it a shot, you can go back and review the VODs and see maybe where it went wrong, how something like that could be improved. But if you never try to do it, if you never pop that ultimate, if you can never use or set the pace of that team fight, what do you really have to look back on and say, you know, this went right for us, this went wrong for us, if you never got off the starting block?
And the theme, at least on Jaguar Falls, funnily enough, as we see this replay from our first set, was who throws the first punch in a lot of these games kind of dictates it. And I think that's sort of indicative of the point that you were making, is that if you can be aggressive first and really bring the pressure with you, that's better than sitting back and taking the punches. In our pregame interview, he sort of singled out creatives as one of the guys on Na'Vi who really likes to get aggressive. They think that, you know, that could be one of the chinks in this Na'Vi armor. If he gets overly aggressive, they may be able to capitalize on something like that. Do you see it the same way?
Not necessarily. I feel like Na'Vi is a team that, if anything, are still in that passive mindset, right? That's really where they buttered their bread in the first couple of seasons of the PPL, and I think that's where they would stay if they could and if they're allowed to. That's the thing, Dave. If nobody's going to step to them, I think they will adjust if they have to, but if you're not making plays and you're not setting the pace, you're not getting in anyone's corridors or crossing half court, then Na'Vi are going to be happy to just sit there and play passive and capture the objective and then just kind of choke you out slowly but surely.
And having Mutu back in the lineup, of course, I mean, we harken back to the first couple of games they had where they had somebody filling in. But you can tell that while they were doing just fine with 4 out of the 5 of their roster, having Mutu back has given just an extra level of sort of comfort to these guys. Knowing his play style very, very well, a guy that they're very used to playing around. What does Mutu bring to the table for Na'Vi in your eyes?
I think Mutu brings not only consistency in what he plays well, but just a guy that plays a ton of Paladins. So that's when you start to get into, this is a truly special DPS player, and this is a guy that doesn't always need to have it made for him, like that space. Sometimes if it's not there, there's potential for him to still pop off and have that type of crazy performance anyway.
No, absolutely. And another guy, the third guy that we didn't really talk about, one of the big members of the Na'Vi squad, is Phoenix. We do have an interview with him standing by, so let's hear how he's feeling.
All right, well, if you thought NBA superstars paid attention to the media with Kevin Durant's latest thing, these guys are bringing that to a new level. We saw creatives actually watch himself watch his own gameplay, which is a little bit meta.
That's very analytical. You always have to be aware of your own playstyle.
And so we're obviously, everyone's geared up, ready to see what's happening around the league. Really, a lot of people are gearing their thoughts around you, it would seem like, and NIP, the kind of the 2 top teams that have really surfaced amongst the rest. What does it feel like playing with this pressure? Is there any added pressure knowing that, you know, you didn't quite win that last World Championship and you're still on the rise hunting for that?
I think it shows our strength rather than like how down we can get after losing a big finals in the World Championship, coming back and still staying strong near the top 2. I think that shows a bit of strength from us.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are looking at your strength and saying, how do we beat it? They feel very confident talking to Pittsburgh, and they feel like what they needed to work on was more about them, not necessarily drafting around you. Is there anything after the last week of VOD review that you guys discovered that will help improve your play?
Of course, you can always improve no matter what. Like whether you're in the top, you're not losing a single map, you're not losing a single point. There's still space to improve always. So that's what we're looking for, and just continue to improve.
All right, well, we'll see if we have any more great plays from Na'Vi. I'm sure you can expect a heck of a set as we get back to the desk and get ready for this game.
And they're definitely a team who, I mean, they have a few losses on the board, but over the past few weeks have been one of the cleaner looking teams, I would say, in this league. of course, we always harken back to how Bonker said they're the most scared, if they're really scared of anyone, of Na'Vi and the way that they're playing. They're always they're very much so students of the game, and you just heard that sort of explained by Phoenix, is they're like, all right, we sure we could 4-0 a set, but if we lose or we win a map 4-1, that's still 1 point that we lost. Let's go back, let's see what we did. And their play style is really showing it. They're improving, they have been improving, and I expect a good game out of them today.
Certainly, and as Brightmarsh will be the first map selected. I think Na'Vi have a pretty damn good history on this map. They look good, and they ban out the Shattered Desert as well as Frog Isle. Frog Isle, I know, is something that they tend to ban out fairly frequently. Shattered Desert, on the other hand, that might be something that's a bit specific to the Knights themselves, because the Knights have kind of on record said that they do like this map and they feel like they're pretty strong here. Navi's only losses were obviously that week 1 loss to Envy, that pretty big upset to Virtus Pro, and then of course NIP getting the better of them. But you look at a lot of the things that the Knights are doing as well, and they were almost able to take a couple of they took I think NIP to that 4-2 in the first week. So they're a team that have something there that just needs to be awakened, and that's how kind of how I feel about every team in this league. And that's the true sign of a truly competitive league, is if anybody shows up on any given day, they could take the match. If you can come on your best day and still not win something, then you don't necessarily belong here. And everyone has had the sentiment that whoever shows up to play better on the day will win the set. There is no excuses at this point.
And the Eevee Genos is something that Kanga prioritized in our last set. It's always a very potent combination there, so prioritizing the dive, the high burst damage right off of the bat are the Knights, but answering back with a couple high priority frontliners of their own, Khan, Barrack, Damba here for Na'Vi. That's not really showing much. They've saved now their 2 damage dealers for the last 2 picks. And the Knights now have to show a little bit more of their hand. We thought Amani might come through a little bit more in this set. Obviously, the SSG guys aren't the biggest fans of Amani, but a few times in that set, she really flexed her dragon muscles and changed the game. Still getting the Ashe as well here are the Knights.
And I like the Amani on Brightmarsh. I mean, you have that natural clumping, I think, on the staircase. If you can get a Frost Bomb in through there, that's pretty big for them. Na'Vi wait to pick their last 2. Bomb King, Shaolin. Bomb King was very, very good for them here. I think Creatives, man, I want to say he was something like 15-2 at one point. Popping off, having a really good performance. I think this is a good draft and the right map for Na'Vi to get off to a hot start.
I mean, that was, honestly, I mean, if we want to really split hairs here, that's one of the faster drafts I think I've seen in the PPL. Both teams, I think, came in knowing exactly what they wanted to do. But Game 1 is about to get underway. To do that, we got to see how your casters are feeling.
Feeling good. You just saw me doing an interview with those guys. And I'll say, Gore, oh my God, is he okay? Gore, did you get it? He was exiled, ladies and gentlemen.
I was exiled.
And Atlas is not in the game. He showed up in Studio 5. And God.
Look, he's so mad he keeps getting banned.
You think you'd notice a huge man with a chrono cannon right in front of you, but I'm just seeing you now, buddy. Sorry about that.
Sometimes it just happens.
Luckily, you ran out of charges. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to cast together.
Hey, don't worry. He maintained 20%.
Oh, God.
He only got the 1 shot off.
Let's get this going then, because I don't want to solo cast for too long. Gore, I think, first of all, great bit. Started out.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 start to Brightmarsh.
100 out of 10 going in. It's been a party boy day, huh?
It has been.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've had one of those, huh? Really let loose.
Now we're going to see. I want to say whether Na'Vi or Knights are going to let loose.
Yeah.
Because this one, honestly, I think it's kind of split down the line. I think overall Na'Vi have the more consistent draft. But they don't have the Genos, Amani, Eevee that the Knights have. And I think this is going to be kind of determined by, well, what Na'Vi like to say. Are you playing the objective or are you playing team deathmatch?
Well, I think the question is, Na'Vi will always be playing the objective, even if it looks like they're going a roundabout way. So far, the Shaolin holding the angle, and that could be dangerous. Ricotta on the Amani getting a lot of bombs. But luckily, he's got the ability to get healed up. He does have the Genos.
And so he can kind of go his own way with the Frostfire Glide. He'll take high ground and Payan. He'll get forced back. Creative so far having kind of the lion's share of the damage in this fight.
I can't think of anything more poetic for him. I mean, one of the maps that helped them turn around their envy set was Brymarsh. And it was Creative's on Bomb King that was, well, what they attributed to them being able to get their morale back. And so you get him on this map, on that champion, this comfortable. And I think it's a dangerous game to be playing with. G-Bunny going to be boxing it out with Phoenix here, and this is the match of the ages. It's going to take a long time before anyone actually goes down, because you can see Phoenix making the right call to rotate. And between him and Creatives, they just pincer her out and kill off Payan.
And Throner, man, looking like he's going to go down eventually. Phoenix, Mutu, find a couple. Up in the backside is G-Bunny, but that's going to end very quickly. Nice new explosions with the skins, but the same old result. Na'Vi starting off pretty strong in their set.
So this is going to sound really weird, because it seems either really obvious
Continue.
or it seems like it's not attributing enough of what he does. But Lazy stands on the point really well, right?
Yeah.
And that's something like, it's so difficult to look at as you have a full killless round, nothing but deaths here on the side of the Knights. It was all one until that nice little tick from Payan. But Dethroner has kind of pointed it out, and I think it's worth noting that there's no...
How did we let this skin in? I can't believe it. I guess it continues beyond the explosion, but that is the Bomb King skin with nipples. I'm just gonna say it. It's worth noting. Gore doesn't know how to respond.
Yeah, no, I
that's
had like
just
4
the
different
case.
replies come into my head, but at least 3 of them were not the kind of joke for broadcast, and the last one just wasn't funny at all. So I decided, you know what? Don't even bother.
After Hours with Gore.
Instead, make a joke about Lazy standing on the point. Ha ha ha.
And you're right, he does do
And
it
then
really
the
well.
audience clap sign comes on.
And Lazy stood on the point.
He'd do it real good.
I mean, people will be about as satisfied with that ending as they were with the Game of Thrones season finale.
And you know what? I have hardly anywhere the precedent of 7 seasons, 6 seasons, depending on who you talk to.
I think we've said
that
this
people
for
have to
about
stand up to
6
it,
and a half
right?
seasons. No, I think we've kind of hit the at least the episode mark.
The amount of episodes we've
I
said
mean,
Lazy's really good at that. Now, yeah, that's true.
We might be closer than we thought.
Was it in a prophecy, last year that Lazy would be picked up by Na'Vi,
Yeah.
because at the time they still had Unbelievable. So picked up by Na'Vi, and that he would then become the best point sitter and best frontline that you have playing point tank, maybe beside
man.
Bonker, in the league.
Well, it is a prophecy that we didn't think would come to fruition, but what we did kind of expect is Na'Vi to start very strong against this set, and it turns out that they've done exactly that. Phoenix, he's not died, I think, this entire game, except maybe just now, just died. And then Pittsburgh Knights yet to find kills for the majority of this round, but still somehow they found a great moment to get a defense. Na'Vi look like they may not try to touch overtime here, and luckily that means Pittsburgh is going to have a chance to go back 1-1 and try and get ahead in this game once more.
And they get their legs under them, and I think that's what they needed, right? And that is going to be it. That is what you're looking at for this set. I think a lot of the time, the Knights are going to look okay. And I think that they are going to be looking to stabilize a lot of this, right? I mean, you're looking at 7th place versus 2nd place in the standings as of right now. I mean, Na'Vi are not an unstoppable force, but they're going to hit you like a truck. You could stop them if you happen to have something kind of equal in force going against them, but they play clean, and that's the thing that has been the hardest to break them down. That's part of the reason that only certain teams have been able to beat them in general, is that they just understand how to play Paladins. And it's a different style than what you see out of NIP, but it still works just as well.
Mutu 7-1 there. The biggest mistake of that round comes in the G-Bunny duel. He knocks Phoenix into his back line and trying to get away from the damage, because Phoenix can win those duels pretty well. He actually sets up a triple kill for the front line. Now that that doesn't happen, Pittsburgh actually get off to a pretty good start. However, Creative's finding the return kill onto Payan, and he will die shortly thereafter. If Mutu could somehow turn this around, that would be incredible. He gets the damage, but it's not enough. With a hair, G-Bunny knocks his head up and down, gets the stun onto Lazy, and Pittsburgh have a pretty nice start to this fight.
And this is going to be where I actually think Na'Vi played the last round appropriate. If this was a 2-0 right now, if they had tried for that overtime and gotten the push, the Knights would be in full control. They just used every single ult. There's going to be a dome shield, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to get bonked on out of there.
But Phoenix, he finds Dethroner. Ricotta in the backline forced to move away. Lazy, patient as ever, plays that one perfectly, and Creatives and Mutu have been phenomenal. He's going to get a little healing. He actually went to 40 health. Let's take a look at the loadout, because I think that was a min-max based on the ability for him to heal after using some of his bombs. That Bomb King just barely making it through. I think the Ashe almost clipped him there. King's Court 4, that's 60 health. Each detonation, I think, is really what saved his life.
And we've actually seen this in Play Like a Pro, and honestly, just in general, when you talk about Bomb King, this will keep you stable. That is I'm not going to die in this fight, but I'm not going to gain health either. I am just going to stay in it as long as I can. And as of right now, that's what they needed. 99 to 69 as the Knights are trying to reclaim this one. Oh, wow. But Spunky putting his name on the list for 2 kills there, making sure everybody's being a part of a victory.
But a much more concerted effort from Pittsburgh and 2 Ice Storms from Payan in that one. It makes me wonder, is this man running Snow Globe? I don't think he is, but I mean, the ultimate charge obviously is comparable to that. He's doing a lot of damage in these fights. Genos, Cuscutie getting the majority of the healing there, but just about tied overall thanks to Khan's contribution. A 3-man Dread Serpent should shake things up over in the corner. Lazy finds Dethroner, and then Phoenix finds Pain.
And now they're just slowly but surely poking him down. And you can see Mutu. Again, I would very much equate this to the last time we saw him on the Shaolin. He is floating through. He is playing the game, and he's going, well, at this point, probably positive, just with the way the kills are rolling out. But it is, well, 10, 2, and 8. He's having a huge impact. But sometimes it's not, hey, I'm going to get a triple kill here. It's, I'm going to plant it this doorway, and then they're going to have to run somewhere else. They're going to have to figure out where they want to hide. They can't fight me. They're going to have to choose where to fight you. Creative, surprisingly enough, is the one who is not doing as well. 3, 6, and 11 there for the Bomb King. But you can tell, just based on the damage, based on the control, I think he's making sure, again, his name is somewhere in this list.
They're so good at baiting things out. Dethroner chasing down Phoenix. Phoenix is the one who ends up killing Dethroner at the end of the day. It's largely due to Creative's damage. Oh my god, Payan. He just didn't see it. The Poppy Bomb as well. Beautiful adjustment. Spunky's going to try to finish him off. He's saying, I am a world champ. Payan says, you know what? I'm an Eevee main. Don't care about that. Nice Ice Storm available. Not going to need to use it. Or will he? Lazy finds the kill. And that might have just shifted the tide. They're now pushing as 4. Members of Na'Vi going to try and stabilize here with a Dome Shield.
And being able to pop that, this is not a typical corner for a Dome Shield on any point. But this is Lazy trying to do whatever he can to stay alive. Bowling Ball reset, gets him out of there with a shield. And he's going to continue running around. And these bombs are back. King Bomb is charged. This is solid, but there's a dragon coming through to try and burn anybody in his way.
Good shield. There's so many people low. Lazy, he's going to get out. I think the dragon's going to die before any more damage, but Ricotta definitely helps to slow it out. Ult for ult there. Dome Shield for Dragon's Call. Nice Troller Bash here from G-Bunny. He's put a lot of pressure on, and the knockbacks have been disruptive, to say the least. 12 seconds left for the overtime, and Mutu now trying to climb his way over to the top. He's got a decent angle, a lot of low targets. G-Bunny also seems to be in his sights.
Mutu taking the claim in the Cassie window, being able to kind of come over. There's going to be another good kill onto Creatives from Payan. And he's been focusing the right targets at the right time. He's been getting in here and honestly making such a huge save for the team, at least in terms of stabilizing.
But you got to get Lazy here, and that's that Rocket Boots. It buys one more shot, and will that be the shot that allows Phoenix to heal up from Spunky and finish off the Eevee? Payan has been giving a monumental effort, but the Frostfire Glide is just too slow for Mutu's bow. Cuscutie dodges a crucial arrow, but slowly and surely the tanks of Pittsburgh Knights are respawning.
Now overtime still taken through, but it is a dangerous game for Phoenix. Lazy going to be respawned back on the objective here so they can dance around as 2 once again. And if the kills keep coming up their way, it's exactly what they need.
And Mutu, he finds the Throner. He is in the stealth. They do not know where he is. He's going to withdraw again. He needs the shot. Double kill for Mutu. Payan closes it out, but the push is successful. What a tense fight, but it ends up going the way of Natus Vincere. They gamble a lot, and they come up big.
And that honestly comes down to that one Dome Shield. Like, there is a much bigger zone from the Knights if Lazy doesn't pop that right around that corner. And again, it's an awkward spot. I don't think anyone, when you're playing against Na'Vi, honestly, even if you're playing with Na'Vi, expect a Dome Shield right there, right then, because it's not an overtime. It's not a typical stabilizing point.
You're right.
It was just, if I give them even an inch more, we might not get back to this. I need to stop it now, and I need to turn this around.
And I think it's actually brilliant because when you see him do that, you're like, oh, okay, he kind of wasted a dome shield. Like, we don't need to push him. There was 4 people there. They probably could have dove inside and killed him, but it was a little risky. Say, why not? But that's exactly what Lazy's counting on, to be able to be alive, get healed up by Spunky, then start pushing again without ever losing the momentum. I mean, Na'Vi playing just excellent fundamental Paladins. That's the way I like to look at it. Ricotta gets pulled, and oh boy, he's going down. No way he's getting saved there. Tuscuti tries to help him out with a heal. G-Bunny gets taken out of the shoulder bash, and now he's getting out of the air. Phoenix playing this round to a T.
And I think that was another showcase right there. Like, Dethroner pushing through the door, trying to get there. If you lose the fight on one side, which for them means losing a carry and one of their front lines, there's no pushing power. There's no one to kind of help get Lazy away from the objective, help get any sort of pressure in there for Dethroner. Like, Dethroner's life in this almost is live or die based on that side fight.
Now, does Lazy dome shield here? That's the question. Yes, he does. I think it was a little late, but it's nice to be able to shut down any additional help or retreat from that area. At this point in time, it feels like Na'Vi have already done the deed. Lazy with a double, looking to make it a triple. Can he find it? No, it's Mutu, and here's the Dragon. Will this spice things up? The barricade will allow him to live just a little longer, and Mutu still with 600 health, doing enough damage for Natus Vincere.
And holding the angle he needs to. Dismounts, knocks down, and just controls anybody else who might be looking to try and come into that fight. It's a little closer, I think, than Na'Vi thought overall. There were actually really good fights from the Knights throughout all of that, but it is still a Na'Vi day to be able to come through and take Bright Marsh.
Interesting, that look of what do we do, and obviously conversation on how we improve clearly coming through from Cuscuti. Let's send it back to the desk and start to break it down.
I think that's a sight we're pretty used to at this point, in that Knights will have a bit of a tough game, then it's always Cuscuti kind of leading those post-game discussions, trying to get the team back on track. I mean, they didn't look horrendous there on Bright Marsh. Na'Vi obviously coming through. Pretty comfortable win, I would say, for them, but it definitely wasn't like a clean 4-0 sweep. Some good things for the Knights, I think, to hang their hat on, but Na'Vi starting out, throwing the first punch not only in the game, but in the set. They're setting the pace for the rest of the day, I think.
I will say Creatives was like 3-9 or something like that.
They said they were going to be able to take advantage of it, maybe, and I guess they did in that case.
Part of that, I think, is Bomb King does have to fight from a closer range. He's like kind of like mid to closest range. Mutu was very, very positive, like 15-6, I think, this last time, or maybe 16-4, somewhere around there. We'll take a look here at the post-game stat screen. Creatives does manage to do a ton of damage. So does Phoenix. So does Lazy. That's kind of
pretty
what
much
we're
everyone,
used to from this squad. A lot of damage across the board. And I think part of the reason why we normally see, and even Spunky and Cuscuti getting a lot of damage.
Right,
in there,
I mean, everyone across the board.
To be fair, like, they're not even, like, normally the supports float somewhere around, you know, anywhere from 15
20,
to
right.
30 at the top end. Cuss almost breaking 50K. Spunky almost breaking 40. But I think as a support, and as the support who comes from a very winning squad, who is now a very losing squad, it's probably very frustrating for Cuscuti because there's only, I feel like, so much you can do to turn a game around from support.
Absolutely.
And if you're the guy that's used to winning and you're also playing the role that doesn't feel like it can really do a whole lot to physically turn the game around, then I can imagine that is a pretty frustrating combination at times.
Well, it's tough. I mean, I can't remember if we asked him this, but the in-game shot caller role, I mean, that can sometimes go over to some guy, or to somebody, I should say, like Cuscuti. I mean, but you said it best. I mean, having a good support gets you there. It allows you to continue playing in the fights. Obviously, some of the ultimates have more of an impact on some of these fights than others. Cuscuti's one of the better supports, so he keeps his team in it. But it's getting the rest of the decision-making kind of wrapped around that the Knights, I think, are looking for right now. Obviously, some of the guys on Na'Vi having a bit better of a game than others. Lazy, one of the tried and true, one of the more aggressive frontliners who I think has adapted really well to this meta, whether it be Barrick, whether it be Nara. He always finds a way to make an impact on these games.
And giving Na'Vi a strong frontline is a bit of a scary proposition. They pick their damage last in that draft, and it still feels like it doesn't matter. And I've said this before, is it doesn't really feel like it matters too much who's pulling the trigger as long as you have the map control to do so. And when you're looking at this 16 and single-digit death game from Phoenix on Khan, Lazy is infinitely comfortable on Barrick. it's kind of it's frustrating, man. You know, we've really kind of done this dance a lot with Na'Vi of breaking down how to draft against them, but then we always come back around to the fact that, well, if you take then you give them, well, if you take this and this, no, they're just too comfortable on too much stuff, and that's what makes them pretty difficult to draft against.
Well, it's very much like a Hydra. You cut off one head, another one grows right in its place. So yeah, you can shut down creatives, but then somebody else is going to go double-digit in one, and their kills and deaths in this case. And it was Phoenix last game. I mean, only time will tell who it's going to be in this next one. Unfortunately, it almost seems like for playing against Na'Vi, for playing against NIP, these top-tier teams, you have to have an almost perfect game and hope that they show a little bit of weakness somewhere in their game. A few punches thrown by Knights in that last one. Didn't go down without a fight, but Na'Vi, I don't think, looked too uncomfortable going through it. Torvald, Khan, Makoa all banned out here. There's been some interesting bans in that every once in a while it'll be our traditional frontliners and then maybe a Maeve thrown in, maybe an Eevee thrown in, but these two teams seem to be okay just sticking with the frontline things, and then a Barrack now for Na'Vi. So a lot still on the board. Atlas is still around. Who does that open up? The Atlas mainly, I think, is who that opens up. Genos, of course, is still around. Knights, though, are going to capitalize and take Atlas for themselves.
Ashe and Inara, two big ones here to look at. Na'Vi really focused on the Inara at this juncture.
You are not welcome here!
And maybe having the Imani as well. This is a very, and part of the reason why Inara is prioritized here is the same reason Imani is prioritized here. This is a very choked off point fight, and you can't expect to be getting flanked too much. No flankers are run on here. Really, Xin was the only one that used to kind of be able to be played here, but outside of him, you saw nothing. You saw no flanking really happening. If any flanking does happen, it's honestly sometimes a frontliner that just walks it down or walks up to your high ground and flushes it out. So I like the way that Na'Vi start this one off, but the amount of control that Atlas brings, I think, is also warranted for a first pick.
This is very interesting to me because normally, actually, this is very similar to what happened last time, and the point I'm trying to make is that Genos goes, I guess, 5th overall here. I can't do the math right off my head, but mid-round. And remember, the last time Na'Vi and Envy played on this map, both teams just let Genos go. So Na'Vi, I think, there's something about Ice Mines that they're willing just to let Genos go through, because Atlas goes, and then normally we would see Genos picked off on the other side, but they get Ashe and Genos on the Knight side as well.
Yeah.
Na'Vi going Inara, Imani, Fernando, and Tyra, so they get a little damage amp. A map that we've seen some pips, seen some dredge, so maybe either team will go that route.
I like Genos a little bit more on maps where it gets spread out, and you do get that little isolated 1v1 or 2v1 or 2v2, like a smaller skirmish where you're not getting blown up instantly.
Right.
But that scenario doesn't feel like it happens very often here.
No,
the reason I think I like Damba is you have this heavy throughput, and when somebody dies on a point fight in Ice Mines, they might not make it back. That fight might be over by the time they do get back, so it's important to have crazy throughput burst healing to be able to keep somebody on their feet, as well as just a control ultimate like a Dread Serpent. I feel like just gives you so much value to get. You've got enough people. Everyone can follow up on something like an Evil Mojo, a Seismic Crash, a Dread Serpent, some type of snap crowd control, where you don't necessarily require that much damage amp. So Tyra is able to fill those shoes quite nicely, and you still get all of the other pros of having Maldamba.
It's absolutely a really good point here. A map where there's a lot of sudden burst damage coming through. A champion like Pip is really good at facilitating that, especially with Evil Mojos. We've seen some that really turn the tides, especially on this map. You asked for the Damba, you're going to get it. Do you think he's the difference maker if you're looking at supports here?
I don't know if the supports will be the difference maker. I think it will be the crowd control ults, which does keep Damba in that pool of characters. I think when you're looking at what comes up first in the first round is very important. And who wins that first point gets credits, gets resiliences online, things like that, because you do have Pip, you do have Waze, you have Exile too. We've seen Exile be a big deal today.
True.
If G-Bunny can make that a big deal for his team, I think that puts him in a much better spot.
And Ashe is another champion on this map that's really been able to control some of these games. I mean, the verticality of assert dominance, if that's the direction you're choosing to go with it. Sometimes just slamming it down, bumping your head on the roof to get the instant cast off. I think the Knights will have a draft that they're comfortable with here. I mean, looking at the draft, I think they're going to be really thrilled with what they've brought to the board. The Genos is sort of the question mark, but it's hot here in Georgia, but it's cold in the realm. Gore, Evan, hope you brought your coats.
Oh man, I'm gonna freeze.
I brought my parka, and Gore is in a tank top. He thought it was summer. I knew we had a quick flight adjustment to Ice Mines. Pay-in on that pip. And G Bunny, he's going to be playing the Deja Vu Atlas. There's a damage amp, there's champion damage amp from Ricotta on the big game, and Pay-in on the Catalyst pip. This is about as, I think, lethal of a lineup you could have with a Genos.
I don't think there's anything that is really more scary to say like an Inara than, hey, here's a Luminary big game Cassie. That is going to be some high damage number shots coming through. And what I like is it kind of feels like Na'Vi were attacking Dethroner, I want to say, in the draft. Like, they banned the Barrack, they grabbed the Inara, and the next chance they get, they grab the Fernando. Like, they took down what I would argue are, like, the 3 champions I see Dethroner go to the most. And so I'm curious to see how that transition is going to be, like, how exactly this Ashe Atlas are going to perform here.
I think you got to push on the Lazy here. I think this is, I think, yes. I mean,
Wow.
blood is in the water on Lazy here, and he switches targets onto Phoenix, but I think it's because they just feel good about their entire fight. I mean, this is a deadly lineup, and the amount of damage that Ricotta's outputting is giving a lot of room for Pay-in to just do his thing, and G-Bunny as well, holding the corridor nicely.
Do you ever just forget how good Ricotta is sometimes? Like, it's one of those things,
Yeah.
like, I think that's something the Knights have going for them, is their scoreline, past performances, things like that. Like, they can make you forget and kind of lull you into a sense of ease against them. And then you remember that's 5 really solid players, and Ricotta specifically
Yeah, dog, that ain't
has
happening.
aim that just rivals, I'm going to say it rivals Rock Monkey, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's never, to me, about aim. I think Ricotta is obviously in that conversation, but aim doesn't make a player just like a very good
Decision making.
It was one of those things that in soccer, it was so deceiving because the natural eye, you see a guy do all these juggling tricks, and he's like, oh, he's a sick soccer player. And it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Like, I could barely juggle till I was 17. But at that time, I was literally living and playing with the national team. It had nothing to do with whether you could juggle or not. Ricotta gives us these glimpses that he could be great. His consistency in his decision-making, his in-game leading, and of course, where he positions, which I think Rock Monkey is probably one of the best in the world at, is where he's got to separate himself again. I think he can do it. He's growing as a player.
Well, there's going to be a crossfire into a death for creatives. Lazy gets taken down, Phoenix gets taken down, and Spunky just wanted to make sure his team went down all for one and one for all. Unfortunately for Na'Vi, that means a 5-man wipe. And I mean, this is just a polar opposite. Mutu, I believe, got that kill once early on onto the Throner. I believe it was first blood. And since then, it has been nothing for Na'Vi.
I mean, just an incredible display of Pittsburgh truly understanding that the changes have to come from within. It's not Na'Vi. It is them. And what they're doing, what they're demonstrating to me is that they've truly thought about how they best can succeed and are starting to implement drafts in that situation. Phoenix is in trouble. I think G-Bunny here goes low ground because he's got his teammates with him. He wants to body block a little bit, and he knows that G-Bunny's out there, excuse me, not G-Bunny, Dethroner's out there kind of creating space, but Spunky finds him. This may spell the end, at least for this attempt at pushing. Still 40 seconds.
A couple of good shots here from Ricotta could make the difference, but unfortunately he's not connecting anywhere near as many as I think he needs to.
Yeah.
Spunky's the one with the credit for the kill. That's going to buy them a lot of time. It looks like Cuss is trying to escape. Whether he will is up to Mutu here. Close, but no cigar. I think you could see him. There was a point he looked up to potentially throw out a Frost Bomb,
Yeah.
and he decided
Too
not
slow.
to.
Would have been too slow.
And that was that moment where it's just like, Cuss is going to get out of here unless you have that burst of damage.
Yeah.
And admittedly, all they needed was enough to kind of scare off the Knights. And they only have to hold for 10 seconds here. No one's near that payload.
Ooh.
With G-Bunny dropping right there, I don't think anyone's going to get close.
That Hunter's Mark is scary, man. That is scary. You can see how fast he absolutely melted. And that was just with pressure from Lazy and a little bit of help from Tyro to follow up. Creatives showing that there's not going to be any easy points gotten from Na'Vi. And as easy and as simple as that first point fight looked, now ultimates are involved. And you have to expect Natus Vincere to isolate anyone who makes bad decisions.
And not only that, but I mean, you have to look at that decision-making not just from the beginning of this round where ults are used, but where they've been used and haven't charged back. Assert Dominance is gone. Exiles are gone. Like, if these front lines of G-Bunny and Dethroner get focused out, they're gone. They don't get that second chance except for the, one cooldown that G-Bunny theoretically should get off. Lazy, Mutu, Spunky, Creatives, Phoenix, all 5 of them coming in strong.
Yeah.
But I think their performance is also kind of hindered on where does this crossfire go? Like, how does it use? Like, does Creative put himself out of position to use it? Does he just not use it? Immortal's very big.
Huge.
But where does this Dragon come into it? Like, there's so many combos that are set, but it's going to be so performance heavy.
Well, it's going now, and he's just going to go onto the right side. It's going to force Pittsburgh to either split up or fall back. So they split up. And now Pan, he can't survive and actually find enough damage. That's huge. I think a Bulldozer had to have gotten picked up by at least Cuss and Ricotta, and that made things a little easier. Lazy, oh my god, Earthen Guard does so much damage. Was that an overcommit? Ricotta's out of the fight.
I mean, he goes a little too far, but they end up trading 2 for 1. It's the 2 front lines on the side of Na'Vi that come through. And the biggest thing I noted was, that Dragon was used. There was so much zone. They didn't get anything on the point. There's 3% for Na'Vi that was picked up, and I think that was someone running away from the objective more than anything. And because of that, Na'Vi, they're completely zoned out. Like, this Ice Mines is very heavily in favor of the Knights. They respond appropriately to the Dragon. They don't let Na'Vi get ahead. They're comfortable.
Yeah. Oh my god, Seismic Crash, Immortal, can they stabilize? It's so unlikely. Phoenix finally able to pop the Immortal, but not before he dies. It's again Pittsburgh Knights, now with some more credits in their hand. 600 a pop total per player after 2 successful captures. And Natus Vincere, although Mutu on an 8 streak and Spunky stayed alive that entire fight, not able to find any success on this objective.
And they just don't have a reply to Ricotta right now.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to deal with it. And this actually is going to bring up something that I was looking at. And I'd kind of mentioned it on Esports Weekly, but I feel like it comes in here. One of the things that we used to see deal with the Leons, with the Cassies, with, well, where Amani would be, was Zen. And
Absolutely.
because of that Billow nerf, no one is touching him anymore. But do you think like this is one of those scenarios? Like, I feel like he could at least bring something to the table to help control it.
Gore, I wish I could comment on it. I haven't spent a lot of time with Zen in the new situation he's in. And I honestly think that he has been overlooked in many times, and almost just kind of misses that jump. I think he wanted to stay high right, but he'll go left instead. I think Zen and many other champions are always overlooked.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that in a few months they may feel like, oh, you know what? It's not that bad. The nerf's fine. I actually like the other, changes to the cards, blah, blah, blah. But right now, you're right. It's not an option. And given that, I think that they're playing this the right way.
Oh, yeah.
I like Navi's lineup. I think Tyra Hunter's Mark is fine. I just think Cassianar is about the hardest damage to tank counter that you can have, which is why if people forego it like they did in that Chronix game where he picked up the Shaolin instead of that into the Inara and the Maeve, I just say you might have missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah. So far, it's been Ricotta that my eyes are on. Like, I mean, his damage numbers have just been outrageous. And the fact that he's, finding the kills that he's converting as well, I think is the biggest thing. It's not too surprising to see a Cassie go about 11,000 above. That's honestly standard. But it's the 9, 3, and 10. The fact that most of that damage he's getting is getting turned into kills that has been making him a huge threat. And we've said this in the past, when you're having, your in-game leader is one of the carries. Yeah, he's focused heavily on his shots, but he's having a good game. That means his shot calling is going to be out the roof.
Oh, man, great decision making. And you could tell that they're talking. You could tell Cuss is calling right here. Ricotta's just aiming. And that's what they need this guy to do. And that's why we question, why is he in-game leading? He's not really. But he's the captain for the squad because people look up to him. People love and respect what he does, his discipline on and off in the game. And that is why, when he is a second-tier performer, Pittsburgh gets shaken up. When Ricotta plays like this, Pittsburgh is galvanized. They are excited, and I think they believe they can do anything. When Ricotta really shows up, this is an entirely different Pittsburgh squad.
And I think I would happily compare this team to Envy in a way, right? Where it is like, they're not quite at the same level, not all 5 of them just yet, but it is the exact same effect. Like, if Rock Monkey is hitting all his shots, Random Noob is a little more confident and is able to play a little stronger. I think, you have a little more of a safety net with Envy because, man, if Rock Monkey's not hitting his shots, Rubu's doing something. Like, you always have someone else.
Yeah.
But like you said here, like, G-Bunny almost consistently performs every single game. Ricotta, when he is on, all of a sudden Dethroner, Pan, Cuss, they can just get into
Game
it.
changer. Game changer. Then there's so much little pressure. There's so much less pressure. Look at how close Ricotta goes to dying to that. It was a bit of a risk. The Immortal early, and maybe really going to set up something for Na'Vi here. Mutu finally getting a kill, but Pain has killed Phoenix, and that's a problem. Dethroner's killed Creatives now. This guy's been wanting to step up, looking to take him down. Shoulder bash. Dethroner with 3. Popping off here, saying he is excited for this game and this set to be able to play against one of his mentors, Phoenix. This time around, he gets the better end.
32 streak for Cuss Cutie. A scout coming out. No, that was an Evil Mojo that came out.
They killed Phoenix, who was in the back.
They get rid of him.
I
They
think it's
control
it.
it down. This is looking like a 3-1,
It's
maybe
over.
turn into 4-1.
It's over. No way. No one can touch. Impossible. Pittsburgh, they're going to take it.
Wow.
Creative shook.
Well, they're on par. I think, again, a lot of score predictions that were thrown out by a few players throughout the scene. Specifically, I think Random Noob was the one that's fresh in my mind. He called the 4-2 for the first set, and he called this one as a 4-1. The question is that going to be the one? Because the Knights have a couple other maps that they look fierce on. Stone Keep comes to my mind as one that they are almost always strong on. And I think what they're doing right now is the advice I think you'll hear a lot of people give them is not who you're playing against. Don't ignore that. It's not Phoenix over there. It's just someone playing Fernando. That's all you have to focus on. And if you play like that,
Ooh.
you could win this.
Ooh, G-Bunny and Cuss smiling, pointing. They're happy. So are we. Can't help but smile at that. Let's send it back to the desk and get ready for Game 3.
Well, it's cold on Ice Mines, but this set is starting to heat up. It's 1-1 here. Pittsburgh take Ice Mines, a 4-1 on Ice Mines to boot.
Wow.
I mean, that was probably one of the biggest turnarounds I've seen so far.
Big things we kind of talked about is that Dragon's not really getting a lot of value. Mutu kept ulting from a pretty safe position. The Dragon doesn't get anything, so he's just really out of that fight for a long period of time, which gives an essential 4v5 to the Knights to kind of like get to position that they want to get in. The Tyra for Creatives, I'm like, who does that damage going to, right? Like, what are they turning that around? They have Inara, Fernando. It's like, who's following that up? Mutu's too far out of the fight. You don't have anyone to like dive in there and stick on that target like an Ashe, somebody who can get aggressive and do decent DPS. And I think Knights just had control of it. We talked about how tight these little point fights are. There's really not a lot of room to move around. I think Ricotta has a great game on the Cassie. Even after he shuts down the Dragon, he kind of like rotates in to do a lot more work in that fight as well.
And I think Dethroner's a guy I kind of want to look at as well. I mean, he's sort of a quiet player in that he'll always be there. He usually has pretty good games, but every once in a while, he'll really flex those muscles, really come out to play. And here on Ice Mines, he played that Ashe very, very well. I saw a few times him ulting up to the high ground, him secure. I mean, and those are window. I mean, some of those windows are hard to hit with that Ashe ult. It's not an easy thing to do time after time. A triple kill to seal the game, 9-5-13. I mean, all the slash lines looking good. It's hard to single out one. 3-0. 30, undying 33 streak for Cuss Cutie. Time and time again, the tried and true saying is if you have a healer alive the entire game, it's going to be hard to win. And look at that. I mean,
this was that last fight.
That's not like a super easy thing to do. I mean, you're able to jump up there and bump your head, but securing the game here with a nice triple kill, super satisfying. Shoulder bash secures number 3. And they were up to 50% there. I mean, if he doesn't 1v3 there. I mean, granted, their health bars were low, but Na'Vi were in a position to answer back, make it 3-2, and then have a chance to tie it. And I really like the way Pittsburgh played that last fight, helped them seal it.
Yeah, I like the front line that they grabbed, and so far the front line has been proving very critical for either of these teams. I think G-Bunny's a phenomenal player as well. He steps up on the Atlas, provides a lot of great control. Na'Vi certainly have their moments. Payan's Pip is something I want to see them go back to on maps that it's appropriate for. But as this set moves on and the maps kind of return to maybe a little bit more of a normal rotation where more things can be run, Ice Mines is a bit of a one-dimensional map because, like we said, it's mostly you pick for the point fight. You talk about strengths and weaknesses and things like during the payload push, they might be more useful than not. I don't think anyone, when they're drafting on Ice Mines, takes into account the payload push or the conversion fight or stuff like that. You really are only thinking about the point fight there, because if you can just win all of those, you'll win Ice Mines.
A couple 4-1s back-to-back here, each team snagging one of the wins in each of those Stone Keep. So you kind of mentioned maybe going back to a more normal type map. Stone Keep is nothing if not that. Torvald and Genos are going to be 1 and 2 off the board for Na'Vi. Makoa, Atlas, 1 and 2 for the Knights. So you imagine Khan will be the higher priority here, but with Genos off the table, we're going to have to see what direction the teams want to go. Knights are going to answer back with the Ashe. Dethroner played a wonderful Ashe game last time, so not surprising seeing them go there, and then prioritizing the EV pretty highly as well.
I was wondering if they were going to take Barrack there, because Barrack I know would be, it's one of the top tier picks for Lazy right now. It depends how both of these squads feel about Inara on this map, and I like the Damba hover as well. With Genos off the board, Damba becomes pretty high priority.
Very nice.
Cuss, though, I have confidence in him to be able to play a multitude of things. Cassie's a great takeaway. I think both these teams are hitting pretty hard in the draft at the moment.
Ying has kind of been that third support. If you don't have Genos, the other team gets Damba. It tends to be Ying. Sarah pokes her head around a little bit as well. It looks like they're going to go the Ying route in this case, and they are. Cuss Cutie is definitely comfortable on that champion, so not surprising to see her come through right here. And I would imagine they go another frontliner here, Barracks around if they want Inara as well, and then leave that final damage pick, the little penguin up there on the corner. I'm surprised it's... Oh, it is in the Na'Vi booth. I thought we were looking at the Knights. Do you know what the background is between Phoenix and Penguins? Is that just a thing he was given?
I don't know why he loves them so much, but he is the Penguin guy. That's his thing.
The Penguin onesie. Sad we haven't seen it in game yet. He wears it in, but always takes it off to actually play the game. Taking a long time to think about this one. Draft number 1 in this set. Both teams basically sped through it. It is going to be Barrack. So forcing Lazy onto something else. Inara could be the route they choose to go. She's still around. Bomb King as well, a very good pick on this map. Bomb King Cassie, nonetheless, or as well. That's a big 1-2 backline damaging punch here. They're gonna have to go front line for their final pick.
I will fight to
It
protect
is going to be Inara. What rounds out the Knights lineup here for you if you have last pick?
I think it could be an Amani. I think this Na'Vi squad wants to fight for that high ground or wants to fight for the Cathedral, but concisely either way. I think anytime you have Bomb King, you want to set up the con in front of him, and you want those two to go to work. Phoenix and Creatives were phenomenal on Bright Marsh, and you want to set up some more of that, but the Knights are hovering Tyra at the moment. Damage amp will certainly help Evie accomplish her goals.
Chronix had a really good game holding that high ground with Tyra as well in our first set. And definitely a champion that feels comfortable on a map like this. Kind of a Ruckus Junior ultimate as you worded it. And when you're up top and you have the vision and your team turns enough eyes away from you, you can really free fire away from up top there. How do you feel about the lineups these teams are bringing?
I kind of like Na'Vi's lineup a little bit more here, if I'm being honest. I think with the way Lazy can transition Inara from, passive point tanking to aggression, in combination with Khan, Cassie, Bomb King, I think there's so much fragability quickly for Na'Vi. I think they can dive on something very, very quickly, and I don't know that the Knights will be able to do the same. I think the Tyra Hunter's Mark Eevee is going to be a big win condition for them, and there's a chance that can fall flat at times.
Well, the Genos is off the board, so the only damage amp in this one is going to be the Tyra. Na'Vi struck first. They had a big 4-1 game number 1 on Bright Marsh. Game number 2, of course, on Ice Mines. Well, that goes the way of the Knights. Game number 3, we're headed to Stone Keep. Let's toss it down to the casters to see how it plays out.
Thanks, Dave.
Evan's in here dancing like a man who just got good news.
Ooh, I sure did.
Or he's really excited for Stone Keep, one of the two.
I am also excited for Stone Keep, but can't wait to play the game and watch them and cast them and the best abilities in the game of Paladins. And they turned the game off. Sorry, I apologize. Okay. Bring it back, dude. It wasn't that bad. All right. Like, every time I try to branch out a little bit, I get shut down.
And this is why we're proud to announce Rain Day Records.
Rain Day Records. Peace and Love Records. It's not a joke. That was one of the, when I was making music back in my day.
shows you, how instrumental I thought I was to solving the world's problems. If only they had a little more peace and love.
I'm gonna ask.
Okay.
As like teenage years, like into beginning of college, right?
Because
that's about that age
yeah.
where you think you can change the world. Because it's
Absolutely.
before the onset of realization that
you can't.
everything becomes super existential and like maybe you can, but like
No, it's definitely where your self-reflection takes place the most. It's pretty funny to look back on, but all those dreamers out there, keep dreaming. I'd never discourage it. It's part of the process, that's for sure. 87% and counting. 99 now. Na'Vi, I mean, don't even let Pittsburgh touch. The BK works. G-Bunny just gets in there a little late. And Lazy, like you said, Gore, so good at standing on the point.
And I think that's the big thing. I think Na'Vi, this is one of those maps that is, it's so polarizing because Na'Vi know this map incredibly well. This is one of the maps that they would always get brought to by Fnatic in days of old, or they would bring Fnatic here. And it was always a consistent, like, just touching point, like, just being able to say, like, you know what? Back to earth, like, we know we can win this.
Right.
Like, that last one, just ignore it. Whatever happened.
Right.
Keep yourself in this. Like, the set's not over yet. But the same thing can be said for Pittsburgh. They have been very solid at this map, and I want to say this is a very good opening for Na'Vi, but we've seen openings like this slip through their hands before. We've seen openings like this slip through the best of teams' hands. But admittedly, when you look at the damage numbers, when you look at the control, when you look at the scoreboard, it's definitely a little more one-sided than I think you would think.
And when we looked at that power pick conversation from last round, I feel like it's much more, although Creatives has been definitely a great EV, one of the best in the business from the beginning. And Payne is obviously a great EV. Cassie feels like the power pick in this matchup. And Mutu's 2-0, Ricotta's 0-2. That duel is gone significantly in the way of Natus Vincere. So let's see if that can change. G-Bunny with a nice kill on the Phoenix. How can they position this Tyra? I don't think Ricotta and the Pittsburgh Knights are in a great position to have him play kind of second fiddle. And a lot of times what we've seen with the Tyra is you do have to do that and just keep those marks and kind of play, defensive mid, so to speak. But I like the way that Creatives and Na'Vi are kind of putting their foot on the throat of Pittsburgh, saying, we've got this under control. Let's keep this momentum.
And, following up on, Cassie being maybe the big pick for this, or as Evie, like you said, was in the first set, this one potentially being the Cassie, I think it follows that, when it comes down to it, both of these teams have two really great DPS players.
Definitely.
And both of these teams have two really great frontline players. And I think Cassie, with a big game, helps equalize one side. Like, if I just kill Phoenix off, then all of a sudden this becomes an easier fight. Or if I kill Lazy off, it's an easier fight for the Knights, and vice versa. If I get rid of G-Bunny or if I get rid of Dethroner, it becomes an easier fight. So I think we're going to be looking at this set potentially transition to a who can deal with the front lines better kind of matchup, where Cassie maybe even gets banned later on.
Yeah, I mean, Cassie, when we started it out, guys, was getting banned. I mean, it was like Cassie and whatever was the ban. Plus Makoa Torvald, right? So Khan, Cassie, Makoa Torvald. That was what we were playing. Atlas and Monty come in. People forget a lot about Cassie. Can't have him on the same team. Obviously pick and choose. A lot of people chose Amani and needed to learn Amani. Leon picked up, but in the same way that she fell off with no changes, so is Cassie. I mean, people just need to remember against some of these champions, she is just so deadly. And she has always been one of the most potent as the defense comes through from Pittsburgh, just barely. One of the most potent champions in existence in Paladins. She has always been good. Always will be.
Last time I think you and I were casting, you made the Coco reference. Now I can do it. Cassie's sitting in the back line going, remember me. Just trying to keep things rolling for herself. And it's just like, and she comes out like, it's not even like a soft singing. Like, she comes out screaming it at the top of her lungs. Like, you can't forget her when she's hitting you for 1,200 damage every shot. Like, it's just, she does so much work. And the fact that that's a defense, I think, it speaks wonders for the Knights there. But it is Na'Vi that are still in the driver's seat, I would say. Like, until this point fight goes heavily in favor of the Knights, I think you need to look at them as still the ones in control.
Okay, so they're taking low ground. Interesting to note here. And they still have Payne on the horse. I think they're trying to get a little corral here. And man, oh man, the Throner just walks into it. But what do you expect him to do? I mean, they're hoping to get Mutu off of this stun. I don't think so. He's going to just get out. Spunky rotate and try and get the kill. Creatives is just off the freaking leash. Somebody. There's a wild one out here, and he needs to find his owner. Natus Vincere saying no, he's off the leash for a reason. We like what he's doing. Mutu with the 180, still surviving. Boy, oh boy, don't tell me he's going to get out of this. He gets a heal from Spunky. He is. The Throner could die the second time. Lazy with a seismic crash, but he is threatened now. Can they find a kill?
I think I might need a camera just to follow Lazy's arm.
Yeah.
I just want to watch him go for, well, or not Lazy's arm, Mutu's arm.
Yeah, Lazy
for
too.
The patented Mutu flicks.
Yeah.
Because even though it's not Andrew, even though you're not seeing that, he still has that aim coming forward with it. And it has been the teamwork between him, Lazy, and just the control that he has on this Cassie making the big difference. Standing inside of the dome shield as of right now, keeping it contested 99-12. Lazy's still in control. A lot of good shots.
My goodness, great. I mean, Pittsburgh, well done. Nice body block by the clone. It shuts it down. Payin. Oh boy, gets a chance. Can they make something of this? Phoenix has the overpower. Ricotta throws the firebomb. Gus could go down here, but he's still alive. 60% for Pittsburgh, though, and they do get the healer now. Mutu ready to fly, and it's just a Throner. This looks like this will be over as soon as it starts. My goodness gracious. Rocket Boots can't save you from this. Natus Vincere going to take the second point fight.
I mean, that's one of those awkward moments where no matter how much you run, no matter how much boosting you have, shielding you have, there was no escaping 5 members of Na'Vi who want you dead. That is probably one of the most dangerous scenarios to find yourself in. The Throner looking there to maybe spend some more credits as they come into this fight. And Na'Vi, I mean, like sharks circling bait, like Knights fought back pretty valiantly.
They did.
In that. And you can see, actually, impressively enough, Payin overcoming the Cassian damage, but it wasn't enough in terms of kills, and I think it was the trade-off. Mutu, I don't think ever went down, or if he did, it was only slightly controlled. I think he got to rotate out of the fight, and they're so heavily locking down creatives that Mutu's getting away with a 10-2 slash line.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what we saw happening with Ricotta on the Cassie. They have this great kind of blaster in the Pip and Payin, and both of them working synergistically to create space for one another. Ricotta not even close to having the same impact here. 6 and 8 going negative. And again, Tyra a lot harder. Positioning so much more important. Doesn't have any get out of jail free cards. She's got to take fights and go through them. But here's an aggressive zone from Pittsburgh. Lazy sneaking around the left side. Do they see him? I don't know. Oh no, he's still there. He's coming around trying to just find some kills. And so Lazy actually getting attacked. I think Natus Vincere having a little bit more trouble than they would have liked on Stone Keep, despite capturing both points.
Well, what you had pointed out, though, instead of Lazy, who came back into the fight, Phoenix, I believe, looked to make a full-time rotation around and is actually back on the payload. It's not going to make it very far. It feels like Knights were already retreating, so of course they're going to notice him and be able to stall him a little bit. But the big thing is how much they're having to invest in that kill versus holding back Na'Vi, which is where they had all been slightly before that. And this is a good pickup for Natus Vincere to be able to at least start pushing back the Knights.
Oh my gosh, that would have been an amazing shot. Payne's going to go for it for sure. But what Lazy has been so good about is keeping track of where the blink initiates. He's so tanky, he doesn't die during that window. And when Payne comes back, he's just getting taken down. I mean, 675, 3 pellets. 1 shot, essentially, from Inara onto Eevee. It's 30% of her health, so she cannot do that at low health like she's been trying to do. And nice Dread Serpent as well. They're going for it. Natus Vincere want to see if they can push.
And they're going for it up top. Unfortunately, losing Phoenix and Creatives there to Payin, I think is going to make this not anywhere near as likely. Lazy is going to stay alive, but he's on the brink of death, and that is going to do it as Payin gets rid of him. No one wants to touch this. This looks like a 2-2. And this Eevee, I mean, you know, I had talked about it, I think, last week. Payin had been playing a lot of Pip, and it had kind of disappeared. Well, the Eevee's taken its place, and it's been doing exactly what you would want.
Well, the Tyra is a great pick if you can maximize it, but the way that Pittsburgh are playing, they're not getting success with G-Bunny quickly killing people. If it's a con, a little bit more damage pressure, a couple headshots, Hunter's Mark, that person could die, I mean, before you can really react with a heal. The Ashe, a little bit more consistent with their fire rate, and I think combining it with who Payin is going after is the key. 1,063 damage is what's happening when Payin is shooting. That's a big deal. And so it's really about lining that up. I think if they can get an early pick, Pittsburgh are not out of this by any means necessary.
And I think that's the key. I'm looking at Mutu. Kill him. Like, just go. Just do whatever you can. And Payin being able to get even just a little bit of damage onto him early means that 11 and 4 might start to fall down. Unfortunately, it's hard to lock him out. There's just no way in right now. And almost no way out for Pain.
I'm curious why no Ice Storm. Phoenix looks like he'll fall. Oh, Mutu finds Ricotta. Oh my goodness gracious. And Phoenix is somehow still alive. Are you kidding me? How is this being min-maxed
There it is.
this well? I am just shocked that he made it out of that corner. Spunky must have been hooking this man up with some serious heals. Commander's grab could kind of try to get the Throner, but he's going to make it away. Natus Vincere not ready to commit yet. Bounce Shout going to be up, buy him some time, and Spunky's healing as well. He's going to pop the shield, get a little bit of the gourd, and help finish off Ricotta.
Has the overpower as well, so he's just laying in wait on that as the Dread Zipper comes out on the objective, at least to buy a little bit of space. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit G-Bunny, but it doesn't matter. Spunky is fighting the Ashe right now, and with a little bit of help from Creatives, they come out on top.
Why did G-Bunny try to not keep fighting Spunky? Maybe he saw Creatives? Not sure what. But it feels like target prioritization is the real key here. Natus Vincere are just taking this fight better than Pittsburgh. I don't think the draft is all to blame here. But Natus Vincere, they're going to take it either way. Creatives looking real good on the bottom.
We used the phrase a lot last game, and I think this is where it comes in and plays the effect. Decision making. That is where things were made or broken for the Knights. And with Ricotta, specifically right now, negative. Right now you have Pan starting to get closer to even, but he is still technically positive in his slash line. And so when you're looking at this, you're looking at where are you taking the fight, how are you taking the fight, and that's what's making it the difference right now. Knights have a draft that has shown and absolutely can push back and win against the Na'Vi right here. It is coming down to Mutu having a really good game. Creatives having a kind of presence, like just an aura that he gives off as Bomb King.
Yeah.
And then Ricotta and Pan, and well, I'm going to throw G-Bunny in there as well to Throner, just not quite making the right choices at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the tough, grimy job of being point tank against this kind of damage, and it just sucks as a Barrack. But 0-8 is probably not where he would ideally be in this slash line. He definitely wants to be doing what Barrack does so well, which is picking up some of those extra kills. It seems like the marks are going on in places I'm not watching. Let's maybe look at Ricotta because I want to see where he's prioritizing putting these marks. If we see it on Lazy, then that's a good reason for a lot more damage, a lot more killing blows for the front lines. Good crossfire here. He's going to find Spunky, who's going to slither to the other side. Man, what a great counter engage here. Dethroner looks like he might fall, even though he's in his own dome shield. And Spunky with the slither across town. Lazy with the save. I think Natus Vincere might have just closed the game here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it does fall down to where those Tyra marks are going, because ideally they are going onto the front lines for good reason, but they're not the problem right now. And once they get rid of Ricotta, and once they get rid of Pan, there's no damage. There's no one to follow up. There's no extra push from the Knights.
And I think this is going to be it. I think Na'Vi have just played this map so well. Pittsburgh coming in off of a lot of momentum, but Na'Vi excellent across the way. They take game 3 and go back up in the set 2-1.
And I mean, it's going back and forth. I think that time the Knights had a draft that would hold up, and it did come down to the in-game decision-making, just certain small moments where it's just, well, you should have gone for this fight, or you should have focused this player. And those small tweaks, I mean, Payne even said this in his pregame interview, Na'Vi doesn't let you make mistakes. They don't make mistakes themselves. You have to play perfectly to beat them.
Well, we'll see if they can keep it up, or if this is a sign of more to come as Natus Vincere take the lead in the set once more.
Well, Na'Vi have afforded Pittsburgh the chance to bounce back once, and now they afford them the chance to try to get another bounce-back win. And it's always my favorite. 2-1 is always my favorite scoreline to watch, because that's when you really tell what kind of a set it's going to be. I mean, Na'Vi, if they go up 3-1, good lord. A lot of damage from Pan, but Mutu and Creatives, that was a lot of damage coming out of those two as well.
Yeah, the frontliners all managing to get some good DPS off as well. 20-5 for Mutu's Cassie, 15-11 for Creative's King. There's a lot of things to look at here for Na'Vi, and I definitely saw a couple of moments from Mutu specifically. He's been playing a lot of Impulse Cassie, a lot of moving away from the big game.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of started to pay off for him. I think Impulse is easier to use. I think it has more self-sustain. And I think Mutu, not only does he make a lot of great plays when he's supposed to, but a couple of times when he really shouldn't be as well. I saw a couple of situations where he gets away and and flips kills back on their head. And I'm just like, there's no way he should have stayed alive in that situation. So Impulse Cassie, I think people may have forgotten about this one a little bit.
But there were a handful of moments in that game for sure. Dethroner had a bit of a tough go of things this time. 0, 10, 11 was his slash line, but a lot of the times you'll see, I mean, it's sort of the game that you inherit. I mean, he's inherit, that's the right word.
Yeah.
I've said it so many times in my head just prior to making this point that I forgot what the actual word was. He inherited a bit of a tough game to go into, as is so often. I mean, he has to get in the front line. He has to be the one contesting those points. Unfortunately, a Mutu with a 5.3 KDA was firing away at him essentially the entire time. And that was a very big way to bounce back there for Na'Vi. I mean, the Knights steamroll on Ice Mines, and if the momentum continued, it could have made for a very interesting set, and it still is. But I always keep my eyes on these 2-1 games, because if Na'Vi win again, still big smiles on G-Bunny's face. That's right, keep it limber. I mean, the legs are an underrated part of gaming, I think. You know, you stick them out. Some people sit cross-legged. G-Bunny there realizing that you need to be limber in order to play this game at peak performance.
2-1 here for Na'Vi, now just barely leading and getting kind of dominated on that Ice Mines map that they did lose. I'm wondering if the Knights might choose to go to something, you know, continue to make this set weird. If it has to be, you know, Timber Mills and Fish Markets and some more niche map picks to throw Na'Vi off balance. I think everyone's getting a little bit better at playing every map because playing more consistent best of 7s than ever before lends itself to, you know, you're going to see more maps in the pool. 4 map bans means you're going to see more things that you might not have otherwise needed to be able to play.
And I think we'll see maps in a moment when they come in, but if I remember correctly, I think Timber Mill was banned out. Frog Isle was definitely banned out. Serpent Beach was banned out as well. So if the set continues on and we get down to, you know, maps 5, 6, 7 potentially, if that's how long it goes, we'll be seeing sort of an interesting dynamic in that we're getting down to your Shattered Deserts, Ascension Peaks, things along those lines. So
I'd love to see another A peak.
Well, it's not going to be Shattered Desert. Shattered Desert, Frog Isle, Fish Market, and Serpent Beach all banned out. Jaguar Falls, of course, still on the board. Could be a Ascension Peak. Frozen Guard is still around as well.
We haven't seen any Frozen in a while,
I guess we haven't. It's been a little while. What does this map sort of bring out in your eyes on Jaguar Falls? I know Bomb King's a big thing. We always talk about how you like the Bomb King on this map, but it's sort of a versatile map in that you can sort of play a lot of different comps.
Play a lot of different stuff here. The thing I think that is starting to pull away from the pack as probably the most popular is like a 3-2 split where you have an aggro tank and, like, for a couple of teams, Pip. For, I think, the Knights, it could be Pip. For Nip, it's been Pip. Pardon the pun there, but I think being able to control the pace and run into people on Jaguar Falls, because otherwise you fall back into this very passive control. I'm going to wall this off, Orders Field this off, maybe just throw up a shield here. That type of stuff is where you can fall into that trap. But wanting to stay aggressive, as this meta has sort of lent itself to, whoever can dictate the pace of the fight will take the game.
And both of these teams continue here, looking at our 4th pick and ban phase. Torvald, Atlas have been pretty much banned out the entire time. Makoa has been banned out now 4 out of 4 times. And I kind of harken back to another point that I've made in our first set. Every once in a while, maybe like a Leon gets thrown in there, maybe an Eevee gets thrown in there, and a lot of those, granted, are targeted at maybe one person or another. Maybe you want to take the Eevee away from Evil Eye, whatever it may be. But these two teams have very much shown that, you know, we're fine with whatever ends up coming out as long as Torvald, Atlas, Makoa, and whoever this 4th ban is going to be. It was Barrack last time. All right, so I call for it, and Pip does get banned out now. And Pan has shown that he's willing to play the Pip, so I don't mind this here from Na'Vi. But that opens up the Khan. The Ashe is still around. Barrack, Genos, of course, still on the table across the board.
And he's looked good on it. I think everyone who is comfortable on Pip has looked good on it on this map. Chronix, that we were like, whoa, what's he doing on this pick? What's Kanga doing with this pick? Neither him or Evil Eye really played a lot of Pip, so it was a little bit weird to see those guys pick it up, but I think it's because it has merit. I think it's because a lot of people are like, we need to be able to do this. We need to figure this out quickly because, I mean, NIP have looked unstoppable on it, and more so than they have on any other map, right? Like, NIP win sets. We know that. They haven't lost anything yet this season. But on Jaguar Falls, they hit their shots. And I like the way that they play that map specifically, though. It's Alex Tenor and usually Diggy Dog on some type of aggro tank, and they run around and they kill everybody. And they usually 4-0 because it's hard to slow down Pip in 2 round, 6-7 minute games. You can't get caught online. You can't get resilience online. And those are both the things you need against that character.
And if you're looking at Evil Mojo, on top of that, that charges up so rapidly that if we're talking about the pacing of a game, he's on his second, maybe third ult while you're still charging number 2 up. I mean, he's usually an ult out ahead of some of the others. Khan, Barrick, Damba are the likely next 2 picks here. And I kind of like the way Na'Vi went with this because they can still go Ashe, they can still go Inara. So it's one of those where there's still enough good frontliners on the table for Na'Vi that they go ahead and go with Genos Cassie because that's a very strong 1-2 punch. And you know that there's still plenty of good high priority front lines waiting for you. And they don't even necessarily have to go with them right now. As we see Bomb King and Ashe, they're going to get one last pick. Likely a frontliner there for them. But now the Knights have to show their damage hands here. Pip is off the table. What do you like here with Akan, Barrick, and Damba? I guess it's kind of hard to say because we talked about how many different ways this map can go in picks and bans.
Yeah.
So it's really just whatever vibe I guess they're feeling.
In a real spot here, taking the Bomb King, banning the Pip. Eevee's not necessarily what you love on this map.
Absolutely true.
They also take away the Cassie. Leon is not what
Tyra maybe?
You're really after. I think a Tyra wouldn't be outlandish to see. I think some type of damage amp would be good. I think they take the Barrack primarily because they don't want Lazy to have it pairing with the Genos. What did we talk about in our Play Like a Pro?
Oh no! We peaked too soon.
Spoiler alert, we did film a Play Like a Pro for Dredge.
It's going to be the other.
For Pan.
It's going to be Dr. Ogos instead of Dr. Edge in this case. Flying Dragon and Shaolin to some mixed success today. Actually, Shaolin has kind of been the, well, how's he going to do? And whether it was Chronix or who I guess would have been Ares or FRZ got on the opposite side this morning, they all sort of answered the Shaolin call. So how do you feel about Shaolin and Drogos here on Jaguar Falls?
I'd like to see it. I mean, I know Pan loves Drogos. Drogos has been a little bit hit or miss. I will say Fisheko on Drogos on this map, when he didn't have a good answer for it, was awesome. But I think the way Mutu's playing on his Cassie today, he'll be able to kind of take this dragon out of the sky if it comes to that.
And are unwanted, stranger.
We'll have to see. If they don't pay enough attention to it, I think Drogos could be very impactful. Shaolin and Rukata is not something that I've seen very often of.
Yeah.
I love his Cassie. The ability to play with a bow or a crossbow is something that he excels with. And I think this character's on the upswing. He's a very low pick ban rate with a more winning than not.
Yeah, 53%. I mean, technically that's more games than he's lost, whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever it may be. I think I like the Na'Vi side of things here. They've gotten a really good draft brought to the board. 2-1 here for Na'Vi. Let's send it down to your casters to get Game 4 underway.
Thanks, guys. Well, yeah, Na'Vi in a good spot. Knights, though, they've got the Drogos, Dr. Ogos, as Dave calls them, and I think it is a very important thing. You got to respect your doctor sometimes.
Well, it's one of those things that Drogos specifically on this map.
I mean,
Worm Jets or Combustible. I'm sorry, Dr. Ogos.
Yeah.
Gives you your daily dose of vitamin combustible.
There you go.
Or Worm Jets.
Vitamin combustible. Ogos waffles.
Ogos waffles. Ogos waffles?
Egos, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Egos, Ogos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
He says, oh, okay, I'll give you a pass on that. Not quite, but okay. Well, it's Worm Jets, at least for now. I think it's not a bad call.
Yeah.
The big thing is that not a lot of hit scan, and this is when I always like a Worm Jets. The thing that I saw Payan do, which was a little, I want to see, is his pacing. He was hitting pretty good rockets, but the killing blows didn't come fast enough, and Na'Vi just kind of, by default with the Inara, won the objective fight. He's got to start off big, and he's got to really put damage on to allow space to be made for Pittsburgh Knights.
I mean, this is very heavy in the Worm Jets as well. I mean, Fuel Tank 3, Rain of Fire 4. So being able to use thrust, you're consuming
big
less
shot.
when you're up in the air. Your fuel tank just has more. You have propel. And reminder that the last update actually changed a little bit about the momentum that Drogos carry. So like you can kind of jet around better overall. And, you know,
Look.
I mean, the way you want a jetpack to feel.
Yeah. I mean, look at this score. They're got creatives in the corner, but nothing's happening on the point. They haven't even stepped on there. They're literally, I mean, in such a good position, and they take advantage of it. Finally, they find the kill. This was a good move, but I'm glad it happened at 72% and not 99%. Nice stun as well. This Drogo's starting to pay big dividends for Pittsburgh.
And I think the Shaolin is starting to showcase its wonders. We were talking last game about whether or not it was going to be the Cassie, but I think it might just be whether or not Ricotta is feeling himself. He gets stuns like that and continues to set your team up, keep everyone excited, and again, in the right mood, in the right zone. You know, like you said, they finally got aggressive at 72%, and Na'Vi haven't been able to do anything since.
Oh, man, they're just so good at min-maxing, staying alive, baiting you out. Phoenix unfortunately runs into Ricotta, and now he's got the angles onto Spunky. Hits one. Spunky's got to run. Hits two. He's going to get Mutu. This is Pittsburgh Knights' fight to lose at this point. And they're not. They're not going to lose this. Great round.
A great round, a great comeback, and a great control coming down. And it does come down to the fact that Drogos, I almost called him Dredge, Strogos, is in that awkward area right now. Well, no one's picking him up in the meta that often. And when you were looking at him being very big, all of a sudden Leon was very big, which helped shut him down a little more. And then when it gets down to it, and they're like, well, you have to pick a front line here unless you're going to run triple DPS Na'Vi, which they've done in the past. It's not something they would back down from, but they go for the Inara. And they have no hit scan other than the Genos, and even then, Genos is not your Drogo's hunter. He is not the one known to take down the dragon.
But you know what? They got to be careful here because you see how he's up in the air. They're getting things done, but it feels like the pace is too slow. I mean, a good Na'Vi team, yes, they're all projectiles. You can see how hard it is to hit him with the worm jets, but eventually they do it. And I think Mutu hits him with an arrow and maybe even a blast shot to take him down out of the air. So this is something they've got to be really wary of. There's a timer on this dragon. He has a potential to have the biggest impact on this game by far. But it's got to happen soon enough. It's got to be more lethal. And look at that. Look up. But you should have looked down. Ricotta with a big kill on the Mutu.
And depending on how this fight against Creatives goes, right now it's all in favor of Drogos, and he should be able to hit that last rocket, but it's not enough to kill him off. So Creatives is going to be able to get some healing, get rid of Phoenix, and Ricotta moves in to pick up whatever might have been, well, quote-unquote, slack.
Yeah, beautiful stop from Ricotta, triple kill. Oh, baby, that was hype. Gets the planet, the knockback as well to start it off. And this Shaolin in the hands of Ricotta, 6-1. If he could play like this, even if Na'Vi get the Cassie, this changes everything for Pittsburgh.
And so far, it's changed the control completely. I mean, Mutu has more deaths now in just half of a round than he has been able to pick up in, what, I believe 2 rounds last game. So just showcasing the talent, the skill, and what they have. A nice King Bomb, but used defensively, so heavily defensively, and it just barely gets him a kill. They had to use a second ult to confirm that one onto G-Bunny there. So now Na'Vi just trying to hold on.
And you know, Spunky's going to help out whenever he can, which is why I love the rockets. It's a delicate dance because you rocket here on the Spunky. He's 850. Now he's got to run and hide. That's time no one's getting healed. That's time he can get a shot onto Creatives. Once you do that, Creatives back. Spunky's got to put the heal onto him. Lazy doesn't get the healing again, so he goes without it for a second. Gives Ricotta an opening. All of these things working really nicely, and Pan's making good choices. Oh, nice stuff from Lazy. He kind of reads where Ricotta is. Not sure he has the vision, but it works out with that big AoE. The overtime ticking, but it's not looking like it's a worthwhile gamble for Pittsburgh to go for it, but they're going to get the Inara pay-in fines too as a result. Mutu now forced to kind of contest the point. The Throner focusing on the other side. No one really shooting at Mutu. He rolls into the gourd. Cuscuty trying to keep everyone alive. The Slither is there, but it's outdone by a dodge roll. The Throner still alive, and here's Ricotta. What can he do against the Phoenix on the Ash?
Well, doing whatever he can right now. 418 health, looking for Creatives in the back line. Does not get the kill, gets killed instead as the Poppy Bomb that time puts Creatives into a comfortable position. I want to rewind it, though. That is a much faster defense. Creatives Poppy Bombed himself off the map at one point in defense. And it might have been a knockback overall from the
Might have
Shaolin, but definitely the angle that I was watching, which was from Creative's screen, looked like he knocked himself off the map. And those are the kinds of moments, like, Na'Vi doesn't make a lot of mistakes. But that's what you get when you put them kind of on edge, when they're grasping for straws and trying to figure out how do we stabilize here. That's what happens. They make those like small errors where all of a sudden you can potentially convert this push that may not have been possible before.
Well, at this point, Natus Vincere and Pittsburgh have been much more heavily contested than I think anyone would have thought. Although 4-1 was some of the expectations from our pro players, seems like here, Na'Vi are, if anything, seeing a better version of Pittsburgh than most of the league has seen for a while. Ricotta, luckily he goes into the withdrawal, but look at that, 45 health. Spunky wasted through time and space thinking he can get the kill. Payne's just got to hide out for a little while. Don't risk this. Puts a rocket on Mutu. It's another. Are you kidding me? Payne showing up big. Can't get it. He trades his life. Was that too aggressive from him?
And there's going to be a nice planted combo for Ricotta. Coming through, they get rid of the front lines. I think maybe yes, the answer is too aggressive. But I think it works
Nice
off
deal.
depending on what Creatives does here. And, well, he's going to get grabbed up. So it doesn't really matter what he thought he was going to do. He gets controlled, corralled, and contained.
I love the thought process around the Pittsburgh Knights, which is what they do. They see this draft, they see the lack of hit scan and only on the support. And the support cannot be focusing on the Drogos, although Spunky's going to do his best. He's going to do it better than most people. And they just say, let's do this. Let's put Ricotta on a bow champion. And let's see if we can just give them an impossible problem to solve. And so far, it has been. Natus Vincere have not lucked out on the point. But so far, things look like they may have turned Phoenix, gathering some percentage. And there's a Dread Serpent to try to set up this final retake. But Mutu gets Ricotta.
The shots are so good. Hand and Ricotta right now are the two making the big difference, but unfortunately for them, they're the two that fall down the fastest. Phoenix does go out right there, so the front line is going to be a little bit more in favor of the Knights, but Creatives is doing anything and everything in his power to just burn down these front lines on the side of the Knights, and while he loses his life, he does make them question their ability to stay on this point.
Got to kill Spunky. That's the big one. You have to do it, and I'm not sure they have enough. Lazy definitely getting some damage. Dragon Punch there. But Payne, he goes down immediately. This is such a hard thing to min-max. If the battle shout from G-Bunny might have come just a second earlier, things might have been different, but Mutu has gotten the better end of this fight. Ricotta dies several times, and Mutu doesn't die at all. That's the difference. And Natus Vincere walk away with the point.
And I think that's the thing that's worth highlighting. Knights, earlier we were saying if Ricotta is on point, then everybody seems to fall in the line. I think the same can be said for Pan. When both of them are on point, it becomes a dangerous game, and that's what we're watching right now. The Knights, from, again, anytime you've watched them in the past, things that you've seen out of this team, you don't expect them to hold anywhere near this much of a punch back to Na'Vi. But the fact that, I mean, right here, 2 kills, clean. They lose the Throner, but it's going to be worthwhile. You pick up a third right there. Like, Ricotta and Pan are making so many strides for this team to be able to just open the door, to be able to control them. And again, I think corral them is a good word here because they're just getting pushed back into their base. Like, Na'Vi get that point, but it is a hard-fought point.
It really feels like the energy of this match is between two competitors, and you would expect that from the PPL. You wouldn't necessarily expect that against Na'Vi. They've just been such a strong team. It's hard to see anyone really sticking toe-to-toe with them. But of all teams right now, Pittsburgh is giving them a run for their money. It feels like everyone's an equal in this matchup. Even Cuss on the Maldamba finding some crucial kills. G-Bunny, Payne, all getting on the action. They said it was about teamwork. It was about working together, talking about their problems, and solving them as a unit. And so far, that has proven to be true.
And they've locked them down. I mean, Drogo's...
Nice fire spin.
If you ignore the fact that there's no maybe immediate counter to him, like there's still enough skill on Na'Vi to take him out of the air. We've seen it happen a few times. Payne is not undying, but he's doing so much damage that he gets this Dragon Punch up so often. He's doing so much damage that, I mean, 2 rockets, 3 rockets kills off Mutu, kills off Creatives, kills off Spunky. And this is Na'Vi with a Genos comp. Like, they have the damage amp, and they're just not quite as able. Like, admittedly, that you'd think this should be more in their favor because of that. But they're just kind of stabilizing again. I think just keeping it even right now.
Oh my God!
And this has
look
been a
at that.
very interesting Jag Falls.
Yeah, and you know what? That's where Payne kind of just gets a little confident. No one can hit him for a while. All of a sudden, everybody hits him, and he's dead. In fact, everyone on Pittsburgh is dead. Just respawning from the base, Natus Vincere have managed to get all 5. And now they're rolling in with overtime about to start. Ultimates on the ready. And a Dragon Punch here just to try to stop it out. This is going to threaten it because if he can get the damage off, he will kill him. But Pan kills Lazy first. And that is what he wanted.
A couple of good bombs, though, are going to be able to get rid of G-Bunny, who I believe just threw out the overpowered as well. That one's going to go down, which means 30% retained, but he's no longer there. He's no longer able to use it now. Staggering out Dethroner right afterward, 10 seconds before he's back. They're going for it.
They're going to get him. I mean, and this is good because they got a lot of ults as well. G-Bunny missed his through time and space, his overpower, so that's not going to be up for a minute. Cuss has 6 seconds left. Dethroner's the only one here. He's going to have to gamble a Dome Shield, but he doesn't have it. This is very, very bad. It's the version of a stagger that you would just not hope to see on your side because you've used ultimates. There's no chance with your healer being out all 5 of Na'Vi, and now all you have to play off of is, I actually don't even know the ult they have. It's 1 ult. Heading into round that could end the game.
Well, it wasn't the Dome Shield. And it's not the overpowered.
I think it's the Heat Haze. It's the Heat Haze.
It's definitely the Heat Haze because I know the Dragon Punch was used in the last fight as well, so it's very awkward position here for the Knights. As Na'Vi are coming into this, they use King Bomb, they use Scout, but they still have an assert dominance. They still have a through time and space. When through time and space maybe not going to be the end-all be-all of a fight, but it can definitely help start or end one. And then the Seismic Crash. The front line's having their ults on one side and not on the other, where that has been a lot of this battle around the point.
Yep.
Doesn't mean it's over, but it definitely means Na'Vi have a distinct advantage in this fight.
Honestly, what the KDAs are here as we head into the last part of this game. Everyone on the board, which is good. A little different from last time. Again, having a bit of a struggle, but playing that point tank against Na'Vi cannot be easy. Dethroner finds another kill, and he's picked up some big kills. He got one onto Spunky last round, which is very crucial for them. This is where there's no need to try to rush this. No need whatsoever. You're fine. 1 to 3. And this is just the zoning ult. If anyone shows up, you find the kill. I think this is actually overcommitting, to be honest, because he could die here. But he feels confident enough in those Worm Jets. And they are going to get him around. He's got a little bit of a survival reset, too, so he's fine. And Pittsburgh not out of it yet.
Get their healing, use their comeback mechanic, 3-2. And if they use their ults the way they did last round for the defense, but they can at least push themselves forward, they could find themselves a 3-3 here. Tied up going into the next round, but it is going to be, I think, heavily dependent on, well, Ricotta dying right there, Pan, depending on if he can stay alive through this, because his damage has been so valuable for their team. It's been so crucial in being able to just get rid of 1, 2, 3 targets on Na'Vi every time.
Resilience seems to be popping up a little bit more. Cuss tries to isolate some, and he has put Phoenix in a bit of a weird spot. Lazy's in a quandary himself. He should go down, and he will, but Creators will trade with Ricotta, and that's the timing. They can get that early and get Ricotta out of there. Maybe they can keep it all alive. Now, this time it goes the way of Pittsburgh, as the low-health Drogos does get out, but Payne falls shortly thereafter to Phoenix, who's on the rotation. So tit for tat in this team fight. Spunky may go down thanks to Dethroner, who is finding some pressure onto him, but at the end of the day, it's a bloodbath. Dethroner trades out with Spunky. Mutu kills Dethroner. Basically, everybody dies, and nothing happens.
Everybody dies and nothing happens. I feel like that would have been
my new album.
That's a new album?
Yeah,
I was
my new
thinking
album.
that'd be like,
It's my LP name.
I could see that being an ending to a story where it's just, you know what? You went all this way, everybody
dies and nothing happens.
But that is, at least as of now, how that goes. A minute left, a little under.
That's good poetry right
for
there.
The Knights. That is.
That's a good one-liner.
We'll publish a poetry book.
Put that on the Instagram page. You know? Picture of a sunflower field.
But it's in grayscale.
Say like it was like Rumi said it or something.
Yeah, there you go.
You know? Yeah, grayscale, exactly. Gosh. What would I do without you being my brand manager? Where's my brand manager, by the way?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing for my own brand, let alone
That's
someone
the brand.
else's.
That's what I'm going for.
No
idea. Yeah, who knows? I want to stay mysterious.
We're
and
going to
likable.
have, you're going to have the poetic grayscale sunflower pictures. But also, here's the cooking channel.
Here's the cooking channel. There you go. Rain day cooking. I like it. I like it more and more. We've got overtime ticking here. Pittsburgh, Gore, in a position. They've got ults. Do you wager it? Are you a betting man? Losing Pan. Not sure.
Honestly, I was thinking maybe you don't, or maybe you have to as Na'Vi, and now I'm thinking maybe a little more. You lose 3 right here, but it's only going 3-3, so I don't think they're going to pull the plug on it or pull the trigger on that one. As they're trying to rip out the plug of the Knights, just try to stop them as best they can, get down, contest for a little bit. A nice little juke overall from Lazy, maybe a miss from G-Bunny to get him over here and stop him from being Commander's grabbed back. It is going to be this back and forth, and it's still kills coming out for the Knights.
Wow, and there it is. There's the impact of the Geno. Small Dombot might have been able to get it, but as Phoenix goes for the damage, Ricotta gives him a little sidestep, and they get the 3-3. Oh, man. Feels like we're watching a heavyweight championship boxing match right now. Just blow for blow. 1-1, 3-1, 3-3, and I'm loving every minute of it.
I mean, it's just so clean. There's so many moments where it's just so good from Na'Vi, and then so many moments where it's just so good from the Knights. Like, this is more than, I think you'd said this earlier, but this is more than anyone expected out of today.
Yeah.
And even if the Knights, let's say, you know, at 3-3, even if they lose this one, this has been phenomenal for a map. And considering what they're coming into this with, and looking at the 21-12
And 17-10.
coming down from Pan and Ricotta there, their damage numbers are insane, but that's such a good shot!
No, and he got the support, and he got 2 other members. Spunky with a huge through time and space, and that sets the tone for the final round of the game. They have to come back now, but they are a man down, and it will take time to get into position.
Well, they're going to be rotating around. They're doing the dance that they have. There's going to be the scout. They're going to catch a little bit of vision. No grab from G-Bunny, and barely enough.
Gotta kill him.
Down right there. That's going to be a good King Bomb, potentially, but Creators gets caught out.
Oh my God, Dethroner trades his life as well. Payne and Ricotta have to go off. It's just simply that simple. They have to find kills. They have to get Spunky. They have to get Mutu, and that's 1 on the docket. That's 2 on the docket. Are you kidding me? Out of nowhere, Pittsburgh Knights somehow find a way to trade after losing 2 crucial team members.
And now being able to hold on to it is all they have to do to stop Na'Vi. If Creatives goes down here, that's going to be huge. Pan's looking at him, and that is enough low health bar that I do not see him coming out of this alive. But they did open it up. There's going to be an assert dominance onto the objective, trying to stay onto this, but it's 87-69 right now. They're not even close enough from Na'Vi.
But they just lost a big angle, and this means Phoenix is going to go down. Ricotta makes it out alive. Dethroner, though, falls. But how bad can this planet be? Ricotta with another one. Payin with the final, and G-Bunny gets the overpower he was looking for. We're all tied up, ladies and gentlemen. Pittsburgh going toe-to-toe with Na'Vi.
And showcasing the one thing that Pittsburgh has admittedly been lacking overall. They have resilience. They are not getting out of their zone, right? And they are staying focused. One thing that we've mentioned is emotional, being completely complacent with some of the losses that they've had in the past. This was a very crucial, I think, comeback for them because of the fact that they're like, you know what, we're not going to take this as a loss against Na'Vi, which is a team that admittedly, again, everyone expects to control it. This is huge for the Knights, and I think it's really, really solid to showcase what they're capable of.
I mean, this is big for the league. This is big in a lot of different ways. Pittsburgh, always respected on these EU teams, NIP, Na'Vi, for their drafting, but now their play is matching that, and they're going toe-to-toe with some ex-world champions. Let's send it back to the desk and break it down.
Well, that is very much the Payan and Ricotta show in that one. They absolutely took that game over. I'm excited to see what their slash lines ended up being. But regardless, we're 2-2 now, down to a best of 3. And honestly, it's up in the air. It's up in the air. Na'Vi looks so good. And then the Knights sweep back the next game and look even better. I mean, it is so far back and forth. Honestly, I would have wagered that our first set would have been the least clear set of the day, but the Knights came out to play today, and they're 2 games away. So are Na'Vi, granted, but they have taken it to Na'Vi.
Agreed. I mean, you're seeing massive damage numbers put up, 25-12, 20-10, 15-10 from G-Bunny. I think G-Bunny played a really nice game on the con as well. A lot of clutch battle shouts to keep people going through some of those longer fights. Cuss Cutie puts a big number up above Spunky on the healing charts as well, but Drogos, he's just something you don't see too often nowadays, and so when he can come through and be played at this high of a level, And it's because it's not played that often, it's something you can forget about and get abused by. If you draft something that can't deal with this character, and you have to deal with it on a guy who's very, very good at it, I mean, it's just a nasty combination. You can see creatives falling off the map in that last
poppy
play.
bomb.
A little bit of a spooked poppy bomb there. Killed himself.
Little unfortunate. And is this the... I'm trying to remember. I think this is the first Drogos we've seen today.
Yeah.
Not really banned out. He just hasn't really been picked up. Pan, though, really flexing his Drogos muscles. 2.9 KDA, 146,000 damage, 25 kills. That's a that's very much a 7-point game stats. A long game allows you to put up those kind of stats. But the 25 kills,
yeah,
that's where I'm looking there. That's exactly what the Knights needed, I think, to have a chance in that game. And now we're down to a best of 3.
I would wager we haven't seen Drogos since the last time Fasheko played it here. There's nothing that really... Actually, I think there was a combustible... That might have been minor league. We cast so much Paladins every week. Sometimes it's hard to separate them. But the last time I definitely remember it being played in the Premier League was Fasheko on Jaguar Falls a week or 2 ago. And now we're all tied up to a piece. I certainly didn't see this one going this way. But a team like Pittsburgh Knights where you see a glimmer of hope out of them early on, and then it really just starts to fall flat in the middle of this phase. You never really know when this week's going to come. These weeks always come. These upsets always happen, but you never know until it happens when to expect it.
I mean, this would be kind of along the same lines as like Kanga beating Virtus Pro, in that it's a team sort of in the lower half of things, upsetting a team in the upper half of things. Of course, we still have 3 games to go, so it's not done with. You can never count Na'Vi out. In fact, I would still give them the edge in this set despite losing that last one, but that's sort of what's in the making here. A lower team really taking it to a higher up team right now, and it's really just been the pace dictating, I think. I mean, whether it's Na'Vi blowing the Knights out of the water, or in this last game's case, it was the Knights really taking it to Na'Vi.
It's a very good response, I think, from the Knights. When you look at, they banned away the Pip, took the Bomb King.
Right.
That's when you're attacking Payne at that point. You're attacking his champion pool, and he then goes and pulls out the Drogos. Not only does he pull this out under duress of like, I need to bring this out, but now that might shed a little bit more light on this pick for the Knights in the future.
Right.
Just to keep an eye on it. Just, I think, in those niche situations where it's a decent enough map, they haven't drafted anything to deal with it, just because it hasn't been a threat to them for so long. Drogos can absolutely pack a punch.
And I think that's important to look at on Payne's side of things as well, is that they take away the Pip, and that would I would like to think, or at least in my head, that would have been a guaranteed lock-in Pip if he was on the board there for Payne. Maybe they were going Drogos the entire time, but at least if Pip wasn't taken off the board, that would have been immediately where my mind would have gone. So the question we raised was, well, where does Payne go at this point? Because Eevee's not that great, Pip's off the board, and Drogos is where he went, and it looked great. Splitstone Quarry, another map that, trying to think, we haven't seen it a whole lot, have we?
No, this is deeper into the pool now. You have to play, I think, all but 1 or 2 maps at this point, and then once Bazaar comes out, then
I'm excited about
that
one.
The pool is going to increase, and it's been in the test map. It was in the test map queue for a while, so I always like to see those make it through.
It's out now. I was playing it last night, and it's a fun map. I have to tell you what. I'm excited to see that one come through. Definitely an interesting dynamic. But in the meantime, we get to watch some Splitstone Quarry. Torvald McCohen, no surprises there. What are some champions that maybe thrive on a map like this? I know Eevee comes through a lot more. Do you maybe expect to see a sniper here on this map?
Probably not a sniper. I think people have moved away from that on Splitstone Quarry, but the flankers, the Maeve, the Eevee has been a big question mark, because if you let that go and they don't have one to respond with, you really give up a lot of map control if you don't have vertical mobility here. A lot of teams will draft compositions that they fight in those little, like the little rock bleacher cave near the fidget spinner very, very well. But if you just get completely surrounded everywhere else on the map, then it becomes very difficult. You get poked and poked and poked, and that war of attrition will go to the team that controls the rest of the map better. It is important to be able to control what you want to control very well on this map, whether that be underground or whether that be the high ground on Splitstone. We've seen teams try to respond to that by putting more people in the lava side of the map, because there are times where that side of the map will be completely ignored and see almost no foot traffic.
I feel like I've seen like one kill in the little lava fall over there on that side of the map because it just doesn't really get brought into play all that often. We mentioned Eevee could come through on this map. The mobility is great, and it looks like that's what's being hovered here for the Knights. That is going to get locked in. Khan obviously picked number 1. Ashe ended up being first pick there for the Knights in this case. So frontline for frontline, they're prioritizing Ashe the highest here. What are some healers? Is Damba still with Genos off the board your high priority here?
I think they might go for just the Barrack Genos in this situation. I think wanting to get back to their comfort front line is something that looks a little bit apparent. I don't know if Inara is quite as strong. I think Lazy's just preferring the Barrack these days.
Yeah.
I think it opens up the... and I don't think that's bad for the Knights either, because I think Dethroner goes 0-10 on the Barrack, and then I think like 8-10 in the last game.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a struggle bus situation for him at the moment, but it looks like it's going to be the Cassie in the Damba.
So I guess that puts Cuss Cutie back on the Ying. Saris has kind of jumped in there every once in a while, but I still think...
You're right, it'll probably be
I think Ying is that next highest here. And actually, I think a good point that you bring up, they probably sniff out, if we're looking at the Barrack pick, they probably sniff out something similar. Well, the last time we gave it up, they didn't have the best game. They didn't have the best Barrack game, so maybe we just let it go through, and it could end up falling in our lap later on. Maybe a bit of an anomaly game there for Dethroner. Definitely a good player, especially on Barrack, no exceptions there. But they also realize the Inara is still around if they need to go that route. So I like the way they went Cassie Damba here, getting 2 of the higher priority champions that are still left. But now it's the Knights. Furia, that was not really in my mind if they end up locking her in. Nope, a little bit of a juke out there. But Furia is an interesting topic in that we've seen her a little bit. We are going to see her yet again on Splitstone Quarry. And I guess when we have seen her, Splitstone Quarry's been one of those maps. What does she bring to this?
Well, she brings Solar Blessing, which is the highest throughput heal in the game. It's a relatively long cooldown, but I think the biggest thing is what makes it possible here and almost even favored at times is that the support is usually extremely close to the frontliners to the point, just because there's a lot of cover right around the corners and things like that. There's a lot of line of sight breaks right near the objective. So you can safely get these beams to your frontliner, not miss very often, because if you miss a couple of these per game, it's really going to hurt you because so much of your throughput is tied up in that one ability. It's also, again, it really comes down to it not being that hard to hit, and Nara needs to be pretty exposed on this objective if you don't have great control of the underground space. So it allows you to almost have that nice little safety net where Nara will be able to do a decent amount on the objective in terms of staying power and buying your team time, just because you have that 6,000 HPS heal.
There's lots of interesting interactions that I'm excited for here. Leon not necessarily has fallen out, but some champions have kind of jumped over her. We don't see her every game like we had in the past. Shaolin as well has reared his head a little bit more here today. This is now the 3rd or 4th or 5th time we've seen him come through in this set alone. It's been a couple of times he's come out. So we'll have to see the way it plays out here. Shaolin versus Leon is kind of my matchup to look at, but it is Game 5. We're down to a best of 3 here in our second set of the day. We're headed down to Splitstone Quarry. Casters, take it away.
Thanks, guys. Time to get going for game number 5. It's all squared away between Pittsburgh and Na'Vi, teams that we thought couldn't be farther away in the results, and actually, as far as the standings, couldn't really be farther away. The only other spaced gap would be NIP and Renegades, 1st and 8th. These are the teams that you thought would give us that 4-0 today, but it has not happened. The Knights have come out invigorated, and they have looked excellent against Natus Vincere.
And they're still willing to try things out. So the Shaolin has been very big for them. I actually like Ricotta going this since Leon Cassie taking on the other side. I feel like it fits a little more with their style than we're going to see out of the Imani. But I'm also liking the Furia because, again, while her healing is going to be very hit or miss, quite literally, her ult is just such a team fight decider. And I think that's the thing that the Knights kind of have in their mind here is just a lot of these last couple of maps, these S4 maps, have come down to one fight, one big decisive moment. And if you can get a good Inflame, that will change it all.
Ricotta has been around the world and back again, and Pittsburgh find the first blood. Solar Blessing, is it going to hit? I think it is. My goodness gracious. This is not just lucky team fighting. This is fantastic team fighting, and Na'Vi do not know what to do.
I think that's the biggest issue. I mean, Phoenix caught out between 4. That Furia beam, it's not going to matter. No one needs the healing. The only people who are down, well, right now, it's going to be the Inara. She's going to get healed up. And they're just going to play the waiting game. It was 54% for Na'Vi, still playing the objective very well early on. But the Knights demand control. They take it. And now they're at 76 and rising.
And Payne is doing such a good job keeping Mutu at bay. Dethroner waiting for these Solar Blessings, and he's going to catch this one again. It's just so hard early game, and they're playing it really well. And they're not waiting too long to where he potentially could get bursted down before it occurs. Inflame is here, and look at that. Phoenix dives. At least Dethroner gets the full reset, and nice little slide. Grace able to clean up at least 400 damage, but Payne is still out there.
Still lurking in the waters, just waiting to see when he needs to get a little more aggressive. He's going to be able to go in, get the overtime touch at least as it's 99 to 99. Now the front lines are going to be back, but I don't know if they have enough as G-Money just gets thrown into the fidget spinner of death.
And you know, Phoenix did such an important job there, which is killing Cuss Cutie. Natus Vincere absolutely on the back foot, and they turn it around, man. Such quality, such a good approach.
Jeez. It is a couple of really good shots and one really well-timed overpower that really comes down to it. It's just, I can get a map hazard kill, and man, as long as I get rid of you, I can at least stall this game a little longer.
I think it really also was, you know, Mutu, in many ways, as well as Payne kept Mutu at bay. Mutu did a great job of keeping Payne at bay, and that's one thing that really probably needs to change if they're going to fully win that fight. Payne needs to get a kill. He needs to zone, which is one of the things I notably saw didn't really happen in that first fight. Kind of sat on their laurels a little bit without aggressively zoning, allowed a very easy retake for Natus Vincere. But the defense just shows you how good these two teams are competing against one another.
Yeah, a minute and 30 left on the clock. And this is probably one of the more difficult maps. Like, you can get back to the payload pretty easily, but it's just so difficult in like 3, maybe 4 different spots during this push to keep things rolling and to continue going. And when you have teams playing at this level against each other right now, it almost never goes through easily. Like, you never see them break 2 chokeholds at once. It's always one, then die. Then respawn, get the next one, die. Respawn, get the next one. And maybe if you're lucky, you can kind of steamroll around that last corner and just go straight in. But the base opens up, it comes, it gets you. And I think right now, Na'Vi are kind of feeling that experience against them. Split Zone's a good map, but it is not working out too well so far.
Everyone is very, very... I think this is as tense as Na'Vi have been in a long time, and this is as potentially tense as Pittsburgh have been, because you don't want to come this far and not give it your best college try at getting the win. You want to win this set. You've won 2 games. You need to win 2 more. And this is an important swing game. I'd say if Natus Vincere win this, it's probably 90% sure that they're going to take this set. But if Pittsburgh can win this, man, you start to shift those numbers. You start to shift the dynamic. And that's something that I think a lot of people would be absolutely stunned by.
And I think that's honestly the best bet. I'm already stunned by the Knights. If they could win this set, geez, I don't know where we would stand. Tomorrow would be the most interesting day in the world because of that. As we're coming into it right now, I mean, Na'Vi are starting to fall. This overtime looking like it's going to fall with them. And this is what you're looking at. The same way they've stayed in this set, the same way they're staying in this map. 1-1.
Yep.
If they can maybe take the reins, and like you said, if they maybe even push to the point where they win this game, the Knights are in one of the better positions, I think, than any other team in a while to take down Na'Vi.
And the way that they're communicating, you could just tell it's a difference of what was maybe a little bit more frustrated in previous weeks. Now it's just more collected, and it's allowing them to really talk about their issues. Things like, hey man, you know, that Solar Blessing, I'm just gonna wait for you to throw it. Okay, you throw, okay, cool, I'll play like this. Things that aren't like, hey man, throw that better. That really place blame. It's more of how can we get the result that we're looking for, which is I'm getting these resets on point. Big conversations, big ways to have them. Huge growth from Pittsburgh this week. Inflame to start out the fight. Gotta get a big hit, and he does. Creative's already half health with
Jeez,
one shot, and Ricotta puts down 2. My goodness.
So, when you're looking at damage amp right now,
Yeah.
that was one of the champions, I guess, that we left out of the conversation for a long time.
It was.
Because it's like, well, Tyra has it on a cooldown that is going to be up regularly. Genos has it on a cooldown that's going to be up regularly.
Let's watch the
Furia's
zone.
is an ult.
Zone, please.
And
I like what you're saying. We need to see what's happening outside of
outside of the point.
outside of Inara standing on the point right there, because this is what they failed to do last time for.
And this is where I think the difference comes in. They came in hot because they had that inflame. Look at the fight back when they don't zone well and they don't have the inflame to help kind of balance it out.
Yeah, and it's the second, what they're doing in that is not working. And so it's either sending someone else, maybe it's a mismanaged technical issue of just not hitting the right shot. But, the Throner's waiting there, and then this whole squad of Na'Vi show up, and they're like, oh, man. But now they've got 54 seconds. Lazy on the high ground, doesn't have the dome shield yet. 70% before he can get that charged up. And it's going to be important to try and burst him down before then.
It's going to be 87 to 87 here in a second as that tick comes through. Now it's 90, and that's going to be really big right there. Phoenix staying alive. The reset going to be coming through for the Ashe, though, which means they're still going to be a little bit coming in.
My goodness, what an out trade right there. Absolutely well-deserved. That could have been the game changer. He doesn't go for it. He baits it out. The shoulder bash comes through, and my goodness, man. The Knights are in the lead here. And this is the zone we're looking for. Payne getting some shots in and dismounting with Ashe by his side.
And I think, again, the important number to look at is under there, right under that Furia portrait. It is the 100. That is the thing that can make this push go by. Maybe a little bit easier, smoother for the Knights, if you will. And there's going to be the pop. They're actually going to use that way earlier than I thought. But it's going to be to stabilize and keep the momentum going. They don't want to slow down. They just want to push it as fast as possible.
And Wings of Wrath looking to come through. G-Buddy finds 2. Payne goes down thanks to Lazy. The Throner is low. And Ricotta fighting away, adding damage as defense. Sometimes a good offense is the best version of a defense, but sometimes just a defense will get the job done. Dread Serpent there, ultimate used by Spunky on the Maldamba. Creatives and Phoenix able to capitalize off of that, finally start to get some momentum back.
And now Lazy's in this awkward boxing match, but it looks like it's going to come out in his favor. Everybody on the Knights running away, or at least trying to. Dethroner gets picked up while he's running tail between his legs, but he's just trying to get back to the team as they're still currently in the lead, and honestly, a minute left. All he needs is a little bit of pressure here, and I think that's why the Inflame came out when it did, right? It's one of those things that it's really good at the beginning of the round, and that was we're going to use this, see what we can get out of it.
Absolutely.
But it's already at 60%. Like, we're going to charge it back. We don't have any issue getting there. Now the question is going to be,
good trades.
Is it worth popping it again?
Well, he's looking for the Commander's Grab, you can tell. He finds it, and that almost secures the kill. He's going to blink once, twice, 600 health back to his name, touch a little bit of that Solar Blessing, and it's touch and go, but he gets the job done, finds at least a full health bar again. Now his pressure with the sword. He's going to go in on a Mutu, Ricotta, and Payne. Dynamic duo right now for Pittsburgh Knights.
Doing whatever they can. Ricotta picks up the 2 there, but does lose his life. Payne's putting a lot of poke pressure. He's not finding any kills for himself. This would be a big one if he can get rid of the Cassie, but it's not going to be the trade he wants. Creatives walks out 275 health.
Yeah.
And G-Bunny will be able to close him out.
Big kill. Big kill.
Just barely right now contesting on that payload.
And big Solar Blessing. That Pyre Strike stuns Phoenix, heals up the Throner, and now he's isolated himself from another bit of damage. Mutu goes up, but it's just a little too late. They've got to capitalize on this. Payne sliding in, soaring in. The Throner still alive. Natus Vincere, so many threats, but they're thinking so quickly. 1,000 thoughts, 1,000 actions a minute, and they somehow manage to defend.
So much that goes right, and so much that kind of goes wrong. You can see Furia and Nat and Flame popped again. Did not, I think, close out the way they wanted to. There were a lot of resets that were really good onto the Throner, kept him alive, kept him in it. But it just felt like they were very scattered, and I think that's part of the problem Furia brings to the table. Her ult is phenomenal, but her healing is very one-dimensional, I want to say. Like, she does technically have a second heal. Like, the beam is going to do 1 here when you choose the talent, and that is mostly going to be great for your front lines. With your right click, you can throw a little bit of healing over here, a little bit of healing over there.
Yeah.
But a little bit is the exact term. It's not going to be enough to give you a full reset for someone like Ricotta, for someone like Payne. Like, Payne actually might, because Eevee's health bar is so low. But for someone like Ricotta, it's going to maybe alleviate a single shot that you're going to take, and sometimes not even.
Resilience is coming through for the Pittsburgh Knights and Natus Vincere. Pittsburgh probably needing it more, but only at the level 1. Trying to give themselves a little more value from that Solar Blessing, which already is extremely good. Scout ready. Phoenix gets done, but before the battle shout, able to use it. But over the top of that little con shield, such a big man, needs to be protected a little more.
And unfortunately for him, losing that, it's going to be a 2 for 2, 3 for 2 now as the Knights lose. Just one more pan goes down. Ricotta going to be stabilizing a little bit, but now it is DPS versus Frontline, as Frontline versus DPS on the other side. This is going to be, I'd say, Na'Vi that are coming out on top of this trade, at least as of now, because they're getting so much objective time through this fight.
They are, but these shields are melting, man. As much as that Rejuve needs to step up, oh my god, the Wreckers are incredible. Phoenix trying to hold down this choke. He knows that he can get a really easy, really simple overpower in this position. And maybe baiting out the Solar Blessing where he knows they're going to stand is the best spot to do it. Obviously, Inar can maybe try to bait that with some CC immunity. Phoenix holding down by that fidget spinner. 93%, Natus Vincere still here. And there's the Inflame. He finds G Bunny. And it's Lazy who gets credit for the kill. Creatives as well. Natus Vincere look like they've managed this fight perfectly.
Ricotta going down right there with Pan going down just before him seems to be pretty much the final nail in the coffin. And you're going to see Dethroner, I think, walk out of this one alive, but just barely having to give up the objective overall. 3-2 Na'Vi, because that 2-2 scoreline coming into the round could close it out here if they can convert this. But that's a tall order to be able to come through. I think this is one of those teams right now with the way the Knights are playing. It's going to be a little too difficult to try and break through fully. So it's going to be up to them to either prove that right or for Na'Vi to prove that wrong.
And if they don't close it out, it ain't for a lack of trying. These guys have done a great job. I want to reiterate that. Knights have shown tremendous growth. And Na'Vi also showing that they're able to handle what is thrown at them. This is what Envy threw at them. These teams have not given Na'Vi an easy go at it, but Na'Vi have responded in kind and made adjustments even if things weren't so simple on their end. In Flame here, it's important because you have to stabilize. Whatever it costs at this point, you're going to be able to make it back as well within the minute. And you got to make sure that it doesn't round this corner. This is a crucial choke to try to hold from.
Unfortunately, they lost just enough members in that fight. And Na'Vi, it's almost like back to the drawing board every time you lose one on a map like this, because like you could get past a single choke, but then you have to be like, well, what went wrong? Like, what did we do? Like, what did we overstay our welcome? Did somebody overextend? Like, where do we go? They're very good at dissecting the problem, but the issue is that you're not the only one thinking like that. Knights are going to be thinking the exact same thing. They're thinking, what can we do with this? Like, we just gained a little bit of ground. Where do we go next? And the answer for Pan was, let's get a little aggressive. Maybe for Ricotta, it's come around the corner and hold a different angle and just make it awkward. Like, how do you fight this if you are Na'Vi?
I'll tell you this, man. Dethroner really popping off. After that 0-8 Barrack game, I think he has just stepped up in a big, big way. And Pan has been phenomenal all day. Ricotta has been clearly on one, and he is staying on one. Gus Cutie, probably the best Furia solo performance I've seen in the PPL thus far. He's min-maxing this so well. 204,000 healing. He is 80,000 healing over Natus Vincere right now. Not counting Phoenix's Battle Shout healing, which at 12,000 is a decent amount, playing very, very well on that champion.
And I think that's the biggest thing is factoring in what they have on the side of Na'Vi. Cuss, I'm going to give him this one big shout where it is just the fact that there have been several times where I've said, I don't like this support, I don't like this support. Like, the Knights is like the one team I genuinely can't say that. Knights and Virtus Pro, I'd say.
Right.
Because between Cuss and Vex, which kind of makes sense that Vex would be able to do that as someone who learned from Cuss.
Yeah.
They play them differently. Like, it's something like their Saris. I hate seeing Saris. I don't think she brings enough, and yet they almost always do well with her. And it's just like, well, I can't talk about how I don't like Saris if you do well with it. The same thing goes for Furia. Like, I feel like there's certain things she brings into the table, and then she's lacking certain things other supports bring. But when Cuss pilots her, it just seems to do so much more.
And they did use an Inflame there. So 14% now charged up. She's getting them pretty often, I think, because of the amount of healing she's outputting in the Solar Blessing. And that Fury does quite a bit of damage herself. She gains damage amp through that ultimate also. It's going to be interesting. It's a 3-3 here. The Dread Serpent, very disruptive, but not available this time around. Spunky used it towards the end of that round, if you guys don't remember, trying to shut down Pain's aggression on him and Creatives on the high ground. Creatives now, full health, firing away onto Dethroner. 6% for the Knights, an early Solar Blessing, but Phoenix finds G-Bunny, just like that.
And it was no ult. It was just a clean kill. Like, I saw a dash come down from G-Bunny, and it might have been maybe he shot him and G-Bunny hit the fidget spinner. Like, I have no clue. That drill is an insta-kill. But that is just, like, that's probably the worst case scenario for the Knights coming into this. I mean, you don't have any of your ults used yet, so you've been able to maintain that, but you're looking at Na'Vi in the same position.
Uh-oh, watch out. The scout is there. That's early kill on the G-Bunny. Noticer dominates. Phoenix finds two.
Man, that's all she wrote.
Natus Vincere. They find a way to adapt. Phoenix holds down the choke point with his overpower, and there's no getting by the scion of House Aiko. Na'Vi go up, and now are at a game, set, match if they win the next one.
I have to go. I need to go back and see what that was. Like, that initial kill on the G-Bunny was so fast, so early. That entire round was essentially just a 4v5 from the Knights, and I think that's where things fell apart.
He's looking, you hear Cuss. There's something always, it's very much so him just trying to fix whatever went wrong in that game. But I love the lean in, pointing at the stats that are on the screen or whatever it may have been.
It might have been the top play.
It might have been the top play. It very well could have been. 3-2 though for Na'Vi.
A teaching moment.
A teaching moment. Always a teaching moment when Cuss Cutie's on your team. That's a good thing. You need somebody who's vocal and telling you what's going. If you're a team that just sits there, loses, and then just sits on that, I mean, that's not a good thing. Having a vocal person who's willing to change stuff is really important. But another close map, but this one goes the way of Na'Vi. Now the Knights need to win 2 straight. I don't think anyone's done that yet. Oh, we'll wait for the map screen to come in. I think it's been back and forth the entire time. And lots of stats to look at here. I'm excited to see where the healing ended up coming from, where those healing stats lined out. Rakata had a great game. Payan had a great game. Creative's lazy, though. That's where my eyes go. Top damage in the game on
I'm looking at the healing.
Healing.
Cuss he almost put 100K between him and Spunky there. My goodness.
That's what Furia brings to the table.
Yeah, that's what that Solar Blessing brings with Inara, with a lot of Rejuvenate. And like I said, like, it's so close. It's like Cuss is probably not going to miss. And if he does, Dethroner's going to get an earful about it. So I think it comes down to that, always being in a good spot to communicate and hit those. And back to, Cuss always having something to say after a loss. I think that's good.
No, it is. That was the point I was trying to make. Maybe it didn't come off as clear. I think it's a good thing that there's always something to be said.
Right. If it's a clear problem, that's a cheeky overpower there. But that's the power of Khan on Splitstone. That's the power of Phoenix on Splitstone. I think he's just so much more comfortable on this character than he is on Ashe. And I think some of y'all don't play Ashe and it shows, I guess, is the funny way to put it. But yeah, no, Phoenix definitely has a much greater impact on the game when he can get Khan.
And I mentioned, it must have been after map 3, how with Na'Vi it's sort of like you cut off one head, but somebody else pops up. We've seen a Creatives pop-off game. We've seen a Mutu pop-off game. That game was very much, I think, a Phoenix pop-off game. It's been back and forth. Na'Vi, Pittsburgh, Na'Vi, Pittsburgh. Na'Vi wins the last one. We're getting down to the bottom of the map pool here. Waters Gate, I think after this, if it goes to a Game 7, Frozen Guard, maybe Timber Mill are the last 2 that are around. Before we get there, though, the Knights need to win 1 to bring us to a Game 7. We haven't seen Waters Gate yet, today. Torvald and Makoa have been bans 1 and 2 pretty consistently throughout the day here. And this, I think, is another map that kind of allows teams to get sort of creative with it. Really only the snipers in my eyes are kind of off the board here. But Pip has come out a lot. We've seen Eevee a good bit on this map as well. Never mind, we don't see Eevee on this map here today. I guess that bolsters my point. They're going to ban out Eevee because we've seen Eevee on this map. But that opens up some things depending on the direction Na'Vi go here.
And the last memory I have of the Knights playing this map was paying like 16-2 on Pip. So I wonder if Na'Vi are going to look at. They've already looked at him once today. They've already banned the Pip away on Jaguar Falls. I don't know if that's because they associate Pip and strength on Jaguar Falls, or if this might just fall under the radar for them. This has been big. I think both these teams have done a good job getting pretty good drafts throughout. I would say the Jaguar Falls draft was a big part of why the Knights were able to win that game. A lot of this set has been decided on the gameplay of these players, which is a good thing for sure. Now, with Cassie banned out, Shaolin priority for both squads, looking good for both squads. I'm wondering where Rukata might end up.
Atlas
You're
Genos,
out
maybe?
of time.
Those are the two that kind of squeak through the drafts. Those are the ones that Eevee and Cassie replace. Atlas Genos is it. And now you're forcing, I guess not really forcing, you'll probably be happy to take a Damba on this map, although they've shown with last game as an example that they'll flex the creative muscles a little bit. Furia coming out in the last game, too, despite a losing effort from the rest of the team. 100,000 damage with some give or take over the rest. He's shown that that was very much a hit there for them on that side. Maeve being hovered here for the Knights, especially on a map like Warder's Gate, I think could add a good bit of flexibility here. We like to talk about how Cassie kind of counters that out. She's off the board here, so Midnight not really having a counter on the board just yet.
Cut it too much for you, Bob!
They will grab the Damba. I think you're right. They're just not needing it right away, per se. Still trying to grab things that Na'Vi might be after. Eevee off the board, Maeve now, so there's no real flanks left in the pool that people are playing. But Pip can be a flank. I think he's basically classified. I think he deserves a rebrand. I don't think he's really much of a support. I don't think he's ever been played as a support. He's memed for not playing support.
I love it in quick play or ranked games. You know, it says your team needs a support or whatever.
Yeah.
Every time I see Pip locked in, I see that plus sign go away, but I'm like, that's not really.
Yeah.
I mean, he can be played that way. It's just not how it's played, at least here in the PPL. Amani coming around here for Na'Vi. Can't imagine. I mean, I would think that. Well, I don't want to throw my hat out there if I'm gonna end up being wrong. I wouldn't maybe now expect to see Pan on the Pip. I guess it still could. I would expect it maybe more on the Na'Vi side. One of these picks I expect to be the Damba. Could be Ying, could be Furia, of course, but I think Damba takes a higher seat, at least in my own book.
I think maybe Shaw for Rukata.
Shaolin has come out a good bit today as well. Leon has almost taken a back seat to Shaolin, which I find pretty interesting.
Yeah,
we'll
I think
see which way they go here, though.
Leon was definitely stronger to counter Drogoz, and as Drogoz started to fall off, people started to look at Leon a little bit less and less. I still like Leon against flankers, like against Eevee and against the Maeve, like tiny characters that fly around very fast, have a lot of mobility. It's nice to have that 800 damage and an auto aim. And if you can connect your presence for like 1,000 plus, then those two auto aim abilities are enough to kill somebody like a Maeve or like an Eevee.
So I imagine it'll be
my journey leads me to battle.
Payan on the Maeve,
So
Rukata on the Leon, Shaolin going the way of Na'Vi. What do you think, Nick? Did Na'Vi seal it out here in Game 6?
I think if Phoenix plays the Atlas the way he played, what was that, against, I think it was Envy.
Yeah, it was,
Then the game's over. I think Phoenix needs to take over the game here. But likewise, G-Bunny getting his pick of the litter here with an early con. I think that's the head-to-head matchup. This season has been about the off-tanks, and it's certainly not changing here.
And Maeve as well, that's sort of in a similar vein to Pip, like how can this champion, the potential is there for the champion to affect the game. It just depends on how the Midnight can change up these team fights. Are the shots going to hit? What direction do you choose to go talent-wise? Lots of things to look at with the Maeve. Of course, on Pittsburgh's side, well, you hope it hits. They need to win 2 straight, but it starts off with the first game here. We're in Game 6. We're in Warder's Gate. Casters, take it away.
Well, Warder's Gate is a fun map for us to take a look at because it's one of the newer ones, even though there's been 2 now, I believe, released after that. Yeah. Exciting times in the realm. Many more locations being revealed to us. And as we continue into this set, it is win or go home for Pittsburgh.
Man, even if they go home, have they had a hell of a good showing today?
They have.
That's the thing, you know, I'm going to admit this out loud. I was not looking forward to this matchup as much because I thought it's going to be very one-sided. It's not going to lead to anything that's going to be a huge revelation. Then tomorrow we're going to go into it, and Kanga's just going to look better than the Knights. Then you come into this, and you see it as it is now. Like, the Knights playing at this level, this is not a 7th place team. No. This is not and that's, I think, just showcases how it is in the Premier League right now. Na'Vi are controlling this point maybe a little bit better. The Knights are still in this tooth and nail. That's how I see them fighting. Whether they go out or not is really up to them.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff from Creatives, but Cutie following up on the lazy. I think when the support gets the kill like that, in that type of situation, it kind of feels like the snowball is occurring, and thus people are going to back off. Ricotta on Leon, but he's going to get aggressed on. Creatives, the Shaolin. This has been more than, I think, a average pickup. It's been a very lethal pickup for these teams. And Natus Vincere yet again playing with Genos capabilities to get that damage amp on their side. If anything, with the one gripe that has been had with Pittsburgh Knights drafting the last few games.
And right now, I feel like Pan's in a really good position. I feel like he's got definitely good damage numbers. But I think that's going to be the issue that he's going to run into several times. He can come in, he can get a little bit of poke here, a little bit of poke there. But a lot of people are keeping their eyes open for that Maeve. And Ash, a long time ago, and I think as of now, still does track Maeve really well when it comes down to it. Like, her mobility is enough to get her out of a lot of scenarios. But
yeah,
Ash happens to have just enough radius on the blast and just enough range that you can't play, I think, exactly where you want to as Maeve 90% of the time.
And it's really unfortunate because it sees a great set for whatever reason seemed to come to an abrupt end. And, you know, we talked about how difficult it would be if Knights won that Splitstone Quarry game Navi won that Splitstone Quarry game for Knights to win the set. And we're seeing it right here. I mean, in under about 2 minutes of play, it's already
been converted.
It's already 2-0. So that's unfortunate. And hopefully Pittsburgh give us something this round. Kind of hard to critique because nothing's been there. So if they do, I think we're in a good spot to maybe see that potential clapback. But what is been so consistent is the ability for Pittsburgh to defend each and every round, and that didn't happen.
And I just think the biggest issue is having to deal with the range from a Shaolin, the range from an Amani, the range from an Atlas even, on such a wide open map, right? Normally in this kind of map,
yeah, plus Genos.
maybe on like a Frog Isle as a comparison, like when the point's very open, but your fight isn't on the point, your fight's on the side. Here you're still fighting on the side, but there's still nice long ranges to be able to fight right there.
Pan finding a double. It's what he needed. Creatives, though, gets the first shot. Pan, target prioritization's got to be key here, and no one shot at Creatives until G-Bunny. But it might just be a little late. Deja Vu trying to get the setback. Can't quite find Cutie. Cutie calling it out now. Knows he's here. Headshots galore. Gore down on the ground. Unstable Fisher, 100 in health. But Ricotta saves the day. Hits the evidence before he lands as well. And here comes the Dragon. But a great overpower means that they can finish him off. Great way to counter out that ult.
Mutu going under the point this time around to pull out the Dragon. Looking to burn down some of the front lines, but he's getting his health bar burned down himself. So that 57% is going to stay there and halt there for a little bit as Navi have to fall back. Knights, comeback mechanic enabled. Should be able to do a little bit of a dance here. Might be able to take the point because of it.
And they do need a zone. They do need a zone. There's just not been a very strong one. Already the point has just been given up to Natus Vincere. I'm not sure that was the right play. Exile should nearly certainly secure the kill. I think Phoenix needs pressure. He wasn't getting it. The Throner still on the objective now. But luckily in the back line, Pain and G-Bunny have gone to their own play, and they have made sure to get 2 kills for that one that was received, and now looking to get 3, but Phoenix is using the movement speed and using the defense so well from his shield. It's just Pain who spoils the party.
And now G-Bunny dancing around this corner, trying to move in with the Throner and just find some control onto this, but it's 99 for Na'Vi. You're going to have to dance on this objective. You can't leave it if you want to.
It's all about the dance.
And that means a lot about the Knights here is going to start falling apart, and it is, unfortunately for them, starting to fall apart.
But Gus found Creatives. That's kind of a big deal. Ultimate's Enlightenment wasn't used. Oh, he had it too. That might have been the difference. They're fighting tooth and nail, but they've got comeback mechanic, and it doesn't look like they're still going to win this fight. 3-0. I think Pittsburgh Knights know that something heroic has to happen here. Otherwise, this is all over.
And I think that's the big key. You have one defense right now to keep yourself into it, and that is the only thing that should be on your mind. It's the only thing that is on their mind.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I mean, no overpowered right now, no Midnight, no Dome Shield. They have to charge that up in a fast time, or else this is going to end maybe a little sooner than they want to, and a lot sooner than I think anybody watching would expect with the way this set is going.
It's hard to believe these are the same 2 teams.
Yeah, right?
It's kind of hard to believe. And that's kind of where we have to leave it at this point. I think G-Bunny having a good one. I think clearly the snap happened after the 3-3 loss when it was so close to taking the edge in this best of 7. And it feels like it's just been a resulting kind of situation there. A lot of things to work out, a lot of things to figure out. KDA is impressive and also not impressive.
Yeah.
Unfortunate stuff there for what was a great set. I would love to be proven wrong right now, but I just see this ending in about a minute or less.
And the thing is I actually can't really put my finger on what exactly has changed. Like, maybe it's the map, maybe it's the draft on the map specifically. Like, it feels like, you know, Amani Shaolin obviously performing well here. Atlas being able to come through for the first time in a little while might be making a very big difference. And that might be what it is. It's just Na'Vi are comfortable here. Yeah. They're comfortable on champions that they're playing. Whereas Knights, I mean, they're just as comfortable. They should have just as much damage.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to be clapping back as hard as it was earlier.
Yeah, and they're going to fall back. Natus Vincere kind of pros at that. So fundamental in their approach. One dies, not worth it. Back off. Good shots by Ricotta. Creatives makes it out alive. Shaolin will he get another win under his belt? He's got the luminary mark. Big shots from the air. Already half health to G-Bunny and a battle shout used. Pan looking around the corner. This is the duo they've been trying to make things happen with. And look at this. Creative's going to look to find Pan himself. Flick shot. Is he going to 2v1 here? My goodness, he's got the help of Phoenix. This is a done deal, it looks like, for the con. Commanders, grab all you want, buddy. But I think this one's over. Creatives finds that. Dethroner left on an island. The only one who can change the tide of these waves is Ricotta. Does he have enough?
And being able to continue throughout this, and you're looking at a beautiful, beautiful rewind for Phoenix to stay in the fight. Creative stayed alive through all of that, manages to come through. Enlightenment's going to be there, but Ricotta, it's not enough for you. Na'Vi are playing as the best form of themselves, and it's pushing this payload forward.
What a wall. And the exile here, just to exile Pittsburgh Knights' hopes as they almost go the distance with Na'Vi, but they fall 4-2 as the final score.
And honestly, you ignore that last map, that is a highly, highly contended set. Looks incredible. But Na'Vi, I don't know what it was, if they put something in the water between game 5 and 6, or if they just happened to know what they were doing, get the exact draft they wanted to. They played out of their minds that last map.
Well, it's comfortable to see Pittsburgh always on the losing end of these matchups, but it doesn't feel like it should be. These guys have the talent. They just got to put it together for a full set. Send it back to the desk to break it down and close out the day.
Nick, does that feel like a 4-2 to you? That felt very much
Not
like
really.
a 4-3 in my eyes, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, Game 6 was the least contended game I think we really saw. Knights fought tooth and nail the entire set, just couldn't put it together at the end of the day. Still a team that I'm excited to see where they go, because this is, in a weird way, I think this is a statement loss. Like, despite losing, they showed that they can go toe-to-toe. They can beat pretty handily from time to time Na'Vi, who I kind of consider to be one of the top 2 team in the league.
And I think they'll chalk it up to, you know, we made mistakes or we did this or that, but I think the Knights just played damn good today.
They did.
I don't think I saw a ton of glaring mistakes, whether it be draft or from the gameplay from Na'Vi, but that was a very, very quick game. That was one of the, you know, faster games of the set, obviously. And this Shaolin is definitely what I'm looking at this point. It's just for everyone at this point.
Everyone, right. I mean, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think of our 4 teams that we saw play today, everyone brought it out in some capacity at least once. And this one, my eyes kind of go to Pan. Not necessarily that he had a bad game, but you had Ricotta with 80,000 damage, good for first in the game. And then Pan was down at about 30. They were just kind of missing that 1-2 damage duo, I think, on the Knight side. Whereas Na'Vi, top to bottom, the slash lines look good, the damage looked good. That was about as clean of a Game 6 as you can hope for. We mentioned in picks and bans, getting Phoenix on the Atlas is a scary thing. Yeah, and he showed us why.
Very, very good. Nice deja vu there. A lot of big setbacks, a lot of huge moments. Phoenix is at the top of his game. We haven't seen Ninjas in Pajamas in a while, so I'm curious to see if Diggy Dog comes back and reminds us that he might be in the running for best Atlas in the league right now. We've got Rhino looking good on it, Phoenix looking super, super good on it, but Diggy Dog, of course, was really the guy that kind of came out of the gate and showed us what this character can do. And the league ebbs and flows. People play their games, go home for a little while, come back, play more games. So I'm sure the NIP boys are sitting at home and saying, we got something for you next time we come back.
Yeah, it's a weird week almost without seeing NIP come in and at least win one game every once in a while. They'll win two, a.k.a. every week when they have 2 games because they're undefeated up to this point. Looking really, really good. A couple great sets today, and I mean, both of them ending 4-2, but both of them feeling more like a 4-3, I think, in my eyes. And this is another one of those weeks where it's like Kanga lost, Pittsburgh lost, but both of them showed me that they're playing really good Paladins right now, that you have to look at them and really take them seriously, because if you don't, you fall short. They could take a game off of you, and I think that's what I saw today.
Definitely. I mean, that's why I think statement loss is a great way to put it. The Knights have some extremely talented players on it, and the meta's changing so fast that I think every week there really is a chance for you to just try something new, find a new strategy your team loves, and make your mark on the league.
Absolutely, I agree. And one thing to get excited about here in Atlanta, as we digress from the PPL just a little bit, we have MomoCon going on down in the city right near the stadium. So if you're in Atlanta or any of the surrounding states, make sure to drop in. We have the Skillshot Open, of course, going on this weekend. There's some PPL players there, some SPL players there, so lots of fun stuff to get involved in. If you're around, make sure to grab your tickets. If you're unable to go, make sure you check out the stream. We're going to have some Soul Calibur action going on the Skillshot stream later on. Of course, here are your updated standings. Not playing this week are NIP 9-0. Space Station improved to 4-3. Pittsburgh fall, unfortunately, to 2-8. Kanga 3-6. And Navi now up to 6-3 here. Good for second place in the league. And still, though, in the middle there, all the teams are within. There's a little bit of a gap starting to form in that over the past couple of weeks, it was like, all right, second place has 3 or 4 wins, and then, like, sixth place has 2 or 3 wins. So, like, they've all been really close, but now we're starting to see 3, 4, a couple more win gaps starting to form in the standings. It's going to be fun to watch. But, of course, Navi wins our second set of the day. That's going to do it for us here on the desk, but we have to hear from the winners first.
Well, guys, congratulations on your win. I think a little closer than a lot of people would gonna think, and I want to go, 5 maps. First one, pretty heavily in your favor, but then a few of them that are just very highly contested between you two. And then a 4-0 on Warder's Gate. Like, what happened from map 5 to map 6 that made the dynamic change so much?
We just wanted to go back to the hotel at that point. We were too tired. We just used all the energy we have left so we could finish it out strong.
Everything at that final end, just for that final push. And I kind of want to ask him, Lazy, we were talking with you, and you had said that, on Esports Weekly, the Knights weren't necessarily as much on the radar. Did they prove to be a little more difficult of a matchup than kind of you had thought coming into this week?
I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that says on the performance or people, but we had 2 people that were sick today. But I actually do think that Pittsburgh were playing really well today. Like, I didn't expect that at all, especially the way they drafted. They drafted in a really good manner, and they definitely also proved a lot today, I would say.
So does today kind of give you an idea of what you can expect from tomorrow? Do you think teams are going to be resisting more and more? Do you feel like you guys still have some things to work on to make sure that you can be in the form you want to be come mid-season invitational?
I definitely think there's a lot to improve from us personally, and we will work on that. And I definitely think that we are strong contenders for the MSI, which is our goal. You will see us play different stuff every single week and every single matchup, because we kind of like clinch our spot almost. So that's our play, MSI, and yeah, we're gonna get ready for it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, guys. And I know you play tomorrow, so get some rest, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To you by Evil Mojo, Hi-Res Studios, INAP, Respawn, Steel Series, Alienware, and Skillshot.
Can you be cold-hearted when you got